So we're on the high wind.
How are you all today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I woke up like 40 minutes ago, and then I spent the last 40 minutes diagnosing problems with my audio interface. So my mind is not here. I'm gonna be like very much relying on you guys today. I'm gonna be like, here's what's gonna be. It's gonna be like we're gonna be like you're gonna be like old cartoon doctors where you like hold the stretcher and go hup 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 while you while there's like an injured person
like
on the stretcher. Exactly. So like I'm gonna be on the stretcher today for this episode, and you all can just like like carry me around. And
we're gonna have to successfully
like,
do a weekend at Bernie's
yeah
situation here for Curtis on this episode that is just jam-packed with nothing but full throttle action the whole time. Definitely a good one to have this problem in. Last time, if you remember, we had crazy cool motorcycle ladies that became a part of the party, kind of, because, or I guess not really the party, because Snow is not with the party, but he did receive the item, the Shiva Eidolon, right?
Yeah, it was like the Idolite or something like that. Idolith, that's it. Yeah.
Idolith, yeah. Oh yeah, it's like the Millerite, like the Miller time.
Yeah.
But now we're oh wait, I guess we should also say that this is the Every FNFF podcast. And my name's Carl.
My name's Curtis.
Sleepyhead is irrelevant. Sleepy Curtis.
Yeah, Sleepy Curtis, as they know me.
And I'm Alex.
Yeah, we're back at it. There's a lot of fucking cutscenes in this episode. It's a lot of dialogue, and then when we do get to some of the gameplay, it's pretty weird. We'll get to it when we get to it, but I feel like it's kind of just like the test is. Like the practice is over now as the test with the systems that we've learned.
Practice.
Yeah.
In terms of the battle system. So there's not really too much going on in the next section that I've played up to so far. But it took me a fucking long time to get there. So I'm excited to talk about that a little bit. But we got a really cool ass cutscene here where, if you remember last time, Snow got karate chopped, Vegeta style.
You're like, oh, dinner's not for another hour, and then he just passes out.
And he was taken by the mystery army or whatever they were, and led by that.
They might be
woman.
Psychom, but who knows?
Yeah, who knows? They don't.
I actually don't know. I assumed they were Guardian Corps because of their different like outfits, but I don't think there's any reason to believe that, is there?
Yeah, I recognize their design from when I was populating their enemy intel, but I do not remember what they were called. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I just kind of assume it's like an affiliation that we haven't seen yet, maybe, just because, I mean...
If Psychom is like the cops, maybe these are like... Because they look a little more like... more night-like, so maybe they're more associated with Sanctum or something.
Yeah, they're the nighttime cops. They're the security... the Paul Blarts. Who,
yeah, that's right.
Make sure that no one's robbing the H&M when the mall is closed. My older brother actually did that in a local dead mall, which is pretty cool.
Robbed an H&M?
Yeah, he robbed an H&M. No, he worked security.
Oh, okay, that's what I was hearing too. I was like, wow. You're admitting to crimes live on the podcast.
He said that was his version of film school because he just brought a mini DVD player and watched like every single movie he could find by renting it from Blockbuster. Like every movie that someone has ever said, hey, you should check out this movie, he just watched that instead of doing his security job.
That's actually awesome.
Didn't have a Suncoast at this mall?
They might have, honestly. I don't quite remember. It was around that era. But speaking of Suncoast, where you can buy many, many videos, we have many, many videos in this episode. Starting with this one, which was super cool, where we kind of see that ship that the rest of the party, you know, Sazh, Hope, Vanille, Lightning, you know, I think that's everyone, right?
Yeah.
I keep reading data log entries, and I feel like they keep saying like most of the party, but then they stop caring about that and they're like, and the rest, and I just laugh every time.
The snowless goons.
We can call it Sazh and the gang.
Sazh is sassy. Yeah, I don't know.
Sazh is sassy squad.
What's a word that begins with S that means gang?
Squad.
Fuck, dude. Man.
Yeah.
But we do get to kind of see that ship that we came up to last episode. And
apparently is not missing an engine. Or if it is, it's fine.
Yeah. Or if it is, like, Sazh is just such a good pilot that he does not need an engine.
I like that it when it takes off, instead of it leaving like just, I mean, it does let off like little blue streaks of energy, but it also like leaves these little glyphy like puffs behind it. Like they almost look like it echoes. It's weird. Like there's little like glyphs.
Yeah, I can see what you
them.
mean. Yeah,
like a trail. It's like when you have your cursor set to like to do the trail thing back in like the 90s.
That's right. Yeah,
but it's like leaving like little runes behind it.
This is actually the chemtrails of the Final Fantasy XIII world, so it's a little fucked up. That's how the government controls everyone. This is Sanctum technology.
I just paused on a really, really good picture of Lightning's face that I have to take.
I do like the way it launches off too. It looks like it's on like a Kirby's Air Ride unicycle thing, like the big wheel that he's just on. And
it doesn't look like just a big slingshot. They just fling.
Yeah, like it takes off with this like wheel, but it's like not.
Or it's like a railgun type of thing where it just like uses magnets to just fucking fling this thing out, which is kind of cool. I'm sure that's like. There's that prototype satellite launcher that is using its integral force to just throw a satellite into the atmosphere instead of using rockets. Sounds cool. But yeah, they take off with many G-force towards the the giant hangar door thing in the ceiling of this
the hanging edge. Yeah.
Hanging edge. Or
I can't believe we're
this,
like 7 episodes into the season and like we're still in the fucking hanging edge.
Yeah, like is this still Cocoon? Or is this outside?
Yeah.
We're still in the sub world.
So Lake Bresha was in Cocoon.
Yeah.
Okay, so
we're
like
still
the
very much
bottom.
in Cocoon.
I see. Okay.
It's hard to tell. Like I assume that like we probably are at the bottom of Cocoon, but like because it's like a Halo situation or whatever, like we're the ceiling is also the ground.
Imagine, if you will, a spherical halo.
It's a sphero, and it's hard to say where underground is. You know what I mean? Like we could be like toward the top of it
later. Because of just from context clues, I think we're underground in relation to the inside world.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So like there's the inside out planet of Cocoon. We are underground in relation to that underground.
Yeah.
Because when we come up, we're still not outside of Cocoon. We're actually just still in.
We're inside Cocoon proper. Yeah.
But there we have quote unquote sunlight now.
It's like the nesting dolls. It just keeps going.
I think
the outer ring of Cocoon.
Hollow Earth theory.
We will eventually get a shot of Cocoon, like what it looks like from the outside. And it does lend credence to Lightning's belief earlier, where she was like, yeah, they never meant to transport the people to Pulse. They were just going to murder them the whole time.
Yeah.
And when we see the outside of it, we're like, oh, yeah, I guess that is the case.
It lends credence to Lightning's belief that Cocoon is actually flat and not a sphere.
But yeah, we blast off through this. I think it's a hangar, or one of the hangar-like doors that the Vestige was kind of dropped down from, because it has the just giant neon lights. I'm not sure if it's the same one or another one, but we are immediately pursued by other forces. We make it out through the top, and like there's like a, as you said, like a barricade or a kind of not a barricade, but a blockade.
I mean, it's
so
interesting.
On the outside, there's a bunch of like other type of like airships that are Sanctum, and they are kind of gearing up to get ready to fire, and they start shooting.
They really remind me of the flying ships from the real world in the Matrix.
Yeah, I can see that.
They have little like hover discs on the side of them.
It's actually kind of crazy how like well stocked and guarded this door is.
They could just close it.
Well, there was nothing in here before. It said like the hanging edge was not used. No one was ever down here. You know what I mean? Like
they
it was
really
just
took Ted Cruz's advice on how to properly protect schools pretty literally in this one. Just one door and heavily armed guards outside of it.
That's right. Yeah.
This is a really cool shot though, because as we see our party inside, they're all making hilarious faces. Like Sazh is just like,
oh my god, it's so good.
Like just screaming as they're like, it seems like a rough like takeoff, and then gets even worse when Sanctum starts shooting at them. But like Lightning's just like, give me that, and she like rushes up to like the minigun and just starts Anyway, I start blasting like.
Yeah, they take out one of the blockade ships and make it through fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Vanille is very cute. She's like, oh, did we get him? I'm like, oh, did we commit murder? Like,
yeah, and Sazh goes, we got one of them.
Yeah,
and
there's several, and they're hot on their tail. And we can kind of see like a bunch of weird like Inception type like buildings. Like
we're up one floor, but there's still like, maybe we're like in a city that's like nested in a canyon or something.
It looks like it, yeah.
It's
looks
kind of cool. We're getting
industrial.
glimpses of these different areas of Cocoon, which is interesting. Like there's a big arch. It actually kind of reminded me a little bit of like what FF12 looks like. This town,
it's very brown.
Yeah. I like that, like, my favorite part of this scene is that Lightning keeps going for the controls where, like, Sazh is the pilot and he's like, stop it, stop doing that. Like, I'm the one flying the plane. And she's like, no, I'm better than you, I can do it. And, like, wants to be in control so bad.
Okay, so this is, like, looks like I totally forgot, like, once we make it to the end of this corridor of this upper ground city, it is look like old ruins because it is just like old stone and
it's really cool, like,
unpopulated.
Yeah, it looks like you know, like sort of like indigenous peoples maybe like had built into this canyon and kind of built their houses out of it, which is very cool. I would like to know more about this place. I don't know if we get any more information about it or if it's like deep in the data logs or something, but it's very interesting looking.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, we immediately make a sharp turn upwards. I mean, we're not really playing the game right now.
Yeah, we're just watching.
But it's very Star Wars where it's like a very tight looking.
Yeah, basically,
we're still receiving fire, but we're like going up a canyon, a very narrow canyon, looking at light at the end. The end being above us, I'm assuming, right?
Right. Yeah. When we make that turn up, it reminded me of the opening cutscene where we see that canyon that the train was in,
right?
Going into the hanging edge. So it's kind of like the reverse. Like we've made it outside of the ceiling that is the hanging edge into that canyon once again and have turned upward to try to get up toward the sky, which we make.
Yeah, still in pursuit, but we do see we're up in the clouds. It's beautiful, and there's like this weird kind of
giant cruise ship.
Yeah, it looks like a ship or something, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually a ship or not.
Yeah, I think we know what it is. I think they name drop it relatively soon, but it does look very interesting, and like we immediately kind of start seeing from behind us like more of the you know, the like bullets or whatever that Sanctum is shooting at them. So it doesn't really linger on it too long, and it kind of just shows really cool action scene of like an air fight, and you know, our team like weaving in and out and trying to avoid them, and you know, Slippy saying do a barrel roll, all of that. You know,
we do a nice
in there.
We do a nice little like Star Wars Episode 4 trench thing or whatever, where we like go back down into the canyon and then avoid the other fighters by like bobbing and weaving around and shooting out chunks of the canyon to fall on them as they try to pass.
Yeah,
yeah, that's where this first cutscene ends, where it tilts up and we do see the kind of world start to kind of bend upwards as instead of being a horizon line.
Yeah, instead there's no horizon line. It bends upwards. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool.
And then that's the end of the first cutscene.
Mm-hmm. I like how it kind of shows off Saz's chops as a pilot. Like I think we saw in the data logs that he's a civilian pilot, but he's able to outrun these Sanctum pilots like fairly easily. So he's got real good chops here. Yeah, I like how the next cutscene starts where he's like, you know, he's got the screen in front of him for like controlling and stuff, and he's like very exacerbated or not exacerbated, whatever,
exasperated.
Sure, yes. And he like kind of like bumps his head like down onto like the dash, and it's kind of going through like the holographic like screen that shows
there's like all the displays are holographic, and it's like heads inside
his
of
head's
it,
clipping through the screen.
There's like sparks flying off of it and stuff. Yeah,
it's very cute.
But you know, somehow this starts a news broadcast. We get a nice look of everyone in their cozy passenger seats in the back.
Could you imagine like you just like finished a giant like escape or whatever, and you're like, damn, that was nuts, what's on CNN? Like whatever.
I do love what he said too, just like something that I probably wouldn't say if I was in the situation. I would say something a lot harsher. He just said, for the love of all that's good.
Yeah, I know. A very mild individual.
Yeah, but we get a cool little CNN report.
We really do. It's so silly.
It actually does say CNN on one of these screens.
Does it really?
Oh, Cocoon News Network, I guess.
Oh yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very similar to like the news that we're used to in our world, but except you know, futuristic and sci-fi and really goofy outfits.
Mm-hmm.
But we finally see that
everyone looks like weird Sims.
Yeah, there's an announcer on there who's like in like a sleeveless like suit or something with like shades on, like giving the news, or they have like their like yellow glasses like on their head. It's very silly. But I guess it's supposed to be like futuristic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we first hear a woman reporter.
Right.
Yeah, she's She reminds me of freaking Tracer from Overwatch.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
She's got the neon vest and like the goggles above.
Yeah,
a little like headset.
But she says that the Sanctum has announced the successful completion of the purge.
Yeah,
which like it was all
mission
underneath
accomplished.
Yeah, and it was all underneath the hanging edge, so like nobody would know what happened. So to everybody else, they're just like, oh, okay, good. I'm glad everybody got.
Yeah, I feel like even in the just from what we know about the culture and how they treat l'Cie and how fearful they are and everything, I think even if they take that literally for what it's actually saying, like, hey, they're gone, like by any means, they're gone one way or the other. I think most people are just like, oh, sick, cool. Like they don't really necessarily care, like, oh, they're all dead.
Yeah,
but it's also it's funny because they there's really no like communication between Cocoon and Pulse because like moments ago the Sanctum announced the successful conclusion of the purge along with a safe arrival of the Cocoon migrants to their new homes on Pulse.
Yeah, right.
Like they're all living on a farm upstate.
Yeah, that's right. We sent them all to a farm upstate.
They're going real hard with the passive voice here. They're like, there was a couple instances of some SciComm-related bullets being ejected, and in the crossfire of that, some of the refugees were involved in the strike of the bullets against their flesh.
I don't know what you're talking about, Carl. I can't think of anything. But we do see a statement by Primarch Daisley. So you can see Daisley for the first time here.
It sounds like a vacuum company.
Yeah, it actually is pretty dark too, because they do say like the safe arrival of the migrants on Pulse.
Yeah, no, so, it's like, explicitly a lie. Yeah,
like either straight up just a lie, or they are also brainwashed. Probably, probably. Whatever.
From what we heard, that Pulse is also pretty dangerous, supposedly.
Yeah.
I mean, we know
it's
that
like a death sentence.
During the purge, I mean, we heard like recordings and stuff by the Primarch being like, throw down your weapons and blah blah blah. Like we need to, he knows that they were being killed. And then
he definitely knows.
And then they're clearly getting their news.
People know.
Oh yeah, probably none. But because they're like right here, they're they're receiving an update straight from the Primarch and being like, oh, okay.
God, could you imagine if news networks just got biased reports that they then just read verbatim as if it is the news and the definite
I don't know what
check out the
about.
Citations Needed podcast for more.
That is a good podcast. but yeah, so we see Primarch Daisley for the first time, and I like he has like a half Pope outfit, half suit. Like it has like half none. Half none. Yeah, he has a habit with like a what's the Pope hat called? A mitre. He has like a mitre with like a veil or a habit, in front of it. And then,
that's why, of course, we're learning early that the reason that Final Fantasy 13-2 is called Back in the Habit, because it focuses around him. He has later on he's going to lose his habit and then he's going to have to put it back on. And then, of course, 3 is Armed and Fabulous.
That's right. But he does have, like, below that, he has, like, a combination robe and suit.
It does remind me of Seymour if he actually had, like, covered up. Like, his outfit has the proportions of, like, Seymour's ridiculous robe, but he's actually looks like he's wearing, like, a tuxedo, like, or suit. Like,
I love the fact that it has, like, the double breast on it, and it has, like almost, it looks like a tie, but I think it's actually like a design of the undershirt to look like a tie.
His hat looks like it just has a fancy onion on top.
It does.
Now, this individual looks like he's either extremely good and dedicated to classical guitar of the finger strumming type, or he's just a straight up supervillain because he has very long, menacing looking fingernails.
Much like Seymour.
Much like Seymour.
He also has like he has a hat on, but we can tell that he does have long hair, but it's all pushed back, it's all behind him.
In a bun or something.
Yeah. It's down, I guess. At least some of it is, because it's going behind him. I mean, we don't know what's under the hat, but I do like that he has like a bit of the rock star old man thing going on.
Yeah.
There's no denying the enormity of the strain the Purge placed on us all.
Yeah, he's trying to placate everybody.
But given the tens of millions of lives at stake, there truly was no alternative.
Then we get to another reporter who's like,
Primarch Daisley stood by the move, stressing the necessity of the relocation. When asked about the possibility of future purges, the Primarch remained non-committal.
I love this guy. I wish this guy was in the game more.
Yeah, this dude's fresh as fuck, dude. He's got like
so
medium length,
fresh.
long hair, cool shades.
He's wearing the shades too. Like the first announcer, she had like her shades like on her head, like
It's
not
like Google
over her
Glass,
eyes.
and that's the teleprompter.
He's got like Google Glass.
He's not as professional as the first reporter, so he does need the teleprompter.
So wearing black like leather gloves. It's
Yeah, he's wearing leather gloves. Like what?
He looks like he would be in like a Dead Z music video or something with like the I guess it's like professional, or it looks like it would be like some dumb like new sport, you know, like when Vince McMahon was like, oh, the XFL, it's the cool extreme version of the NFL or whatever. It looks like it would be like a soccer like game that has a dumb jersey.
Combination like urban fashion like model and half like Secret Service.
Yeah. I think what I like most about this guy is that like I mean maybe it's just the screen I have paused right here, but out of every character I've seen thus far, this looks the most like a dude that you could see in real life.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like the most like a type of dude. And I'm just like, oh, there he is.
His hair is very down. On his screen, it does say CNN 8 on the upper right for some reason.
The
Ocho, yeah.
But yeah, so more purges probably.
Could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, he remained non-committal to the possibility of more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Sazh chimes in and says, yeah, that's right. If it makes the Sanctum look bad, it never happened.
Yep.
Cool stuff here.
Primarch keeps going on. In all the centuries since the War of Transgression,
very cool name,
Cocoon has been spared pulse aggression and prospered for it. It's essential that we maintain this peace. This is the Sanctum's focus.
Focus, I think, lowercase f, noticeably.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
But probably an intentional use of the word focus.
It's just part of the dialect at this point, probably. We will continue employing every resource available to combat these threats to the harmony of our society. You know, they're fighting for the peace. You know, we've heard it before.
Exactly, and Sazh is just very real. Right after that, he said, "Meaning we'll be running for the rest of our lives."
Yeah, right.
Like the Sanctum, you know, it's on site for them. Because they're saying it was a successful purge, but obviously our friends did not get purged, so not looking too good for them.
Yeah, I will say I do like you know, there's the whole thing about this game being very linear in a way, and like and the parties' interactions carry the story and everything. I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, this is the perfect story for this though, because we are just running away the whole time. We're not like you know, like in all the other Final Fantasies, our party is kind of like what causes things to happen. You know what I mean? Like we bring like justice or destruction upon whatever town or whatever we like enter. And I like that this one is just like, oh god, everyone in the entire world is trying to kill us, and we're always running away. It's like Running Man, like the book or whatever. And I was like, you know, that is a very good way to do a linear game, because that would make sense for it to be linear. You can't go back. You're being chased the whole time.
Yeah, it gives a good reason for you know, like the meta version of like just forward progress and not like dallying around.
Yeah, it's really good that way.
I love this interaction here with Vanille and Sazh, because
oh my god, me too.
She's just like, hey, who is this guy? And I love this because it's just building a character thing subtly for Vanille, that I'm just like, I am very excited to learn more about this character, when everything that she does being in context, like this seems like one of the things that when you look back, it's going to be like, oh shit, that's why. Because Sazh is just like, he's Gallanth Dicely, the Sanctum.
Yeah, he's always like, what are they teaching kids these days?
Yeah, exactly.
I think he mentions it later too, something very similar, like what you sleep through history class and stuff
exactly.
like that.
And it's just kind of like, haha, maybe, like, and just kind of blows it off, and I'm just like, I fucking know what you're doing, dude. I do like that he calls the Primarch murderer in chief. It's like, damn, get him.
Yeah. Gallant Dicely, the murderer in chief. And then
Dark Brandon, the Sanctum Primarch.
And then the news says, according to our Insta poll, and I was like,
oh no,
they have Instagram and
yeah,
the
truly
future.
a
That's
dystopia.
incredible.
Oh yeah, they're doing polls. Lightning does also say just another tool of the fallacy.
Yeah. I will another thing, speaking of like Cocoon people having technology, and I know we'll get through this scene one day, but last episode, I remember we were talking about like we're making a joke about the reason that there was a dead mall is because everybody does their shopping online or whatever. There is literally a data log about it.
Oh my god, dude.
Like it comes in this episode. Like we get it later in the episode, but I'll just tell you now because it's funny. But there is literally a data log that says one of the towns is a popular place because it's like the only place you can buy things in person, and people are like, "Oh wow, you can go to shops here. That's incredible." And
How
they were like,
novel, yeah.
they're like, "Oh, it doesn't make sense to put like shops in every town because everybody just orders things online." And I was like, "Oh, we joked about it. It's in canon."
Yeah, it's pretty cool. If you go back to the last area, it involves some difficulty because, you know, Sanctum's following us and stuff, but they're actually hanging banners for Spirit Halloween, which is great. You can get your skeletons, you can get your animatronics.
You can get a 12-foot tall Seath.
yeah.
Hell yeah. Good all year round.
Yeah, but according to their Insta poll, they say nearly 90% of Cocoon citizens agree with the Sanctum's handling of the purge.
Yeah, very, very dark.
70% of respondents said they would also support additional purges were the need to arise. And I like how, like Sazh for being a pilot, like we don't know much about Sazh prior to the events, but I like that if he was a good, like, Cocoon citizen who is like orderly or whatever, all that is gone now after what he's seen. He's like,
yeah, he immediately is
shit.
just like, yo, fuck that, dude. Like, I am absolutely turning, you know, 360 degrees as I'm walking away. Yeah, he's like, let's purge everybody. That'll fix it. Like being very sarcastic, being very critical.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, just with the nearly 90% of citizens and 70%. And it's like, it's an interesting thing because just in my brain, it's like, yeah, it could be that the game is telling us like this is how dark this world is, which obviously makes sense and could very well be true. But it could also be a thing where it's like a lot of times that we've seen in the real world when they conduct these polls and stuff, it's done so in a way that it can kind of continue the narrative that they want to give.
Right.
So it's like, you know, you say something, but you leave out some other parts of it. And it's just like, oh, do you support the purge? And it's just like, they say it in a way that it's like, oh yeah, it keeps everyone safe. So of course I do. Whereas it's like, they don't realize that they're saying like, do you support killing all of these innocent people who are just in the wrong place at the wrong time? Yeah. You know, it's like it seems very manipulative to me.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And totally fantastical. Imagine a world, you know?
We are quickly interrupted by the pursuit again.
Yeah. More ships have found us.
I like this. We're back into a full motion video, and Sazh's chocobos come out to say hello.
Mm-hmm. Very good, very cute.
But yeah, so we're trying to avoid them, and this time we like arc up toward the center of Pulse, right? Because like the center
towards the sun.
Toward the sun, yes. So even the sun in this world is provided by a foul sea. And
yeah, I think that was mentioned in one of the data logs.
Yeah, and they actually say it in this. They're like, okay, we're going up there. We're gonna go up there into, what does he say? Pulse's Cocoon's very own light in the sky.
Yes, there's a Sanctum Foul Sea up close and personal. Yeah, I think this is separate than whatever ship we saw when we first.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Cocoon's own light in the sky.
Yeah,
which it's super cool. It is just like this giant kind of array of.
It's like a plasma ball that you would buy at Spencer's. Speaking of dead balls,
yeah, it's like a giant fucking electric ball, and like behind there's like other orbs and stuff floating around this thing. It's like a weird, massive technology and magic.
Mm. But we fly into it to kind of try to lose our pursuers, right?
Yeah, per Lightning's request, she's like, just fly into it, like.
Yeah.
Very Star Wars again. Like, we'll lose them in the asteroid field.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
Asteroids, the icebergs of the sky. Here's a little route with a little bit of chest hair.
But they the like plasma or energy or whatever coming off of the center of this foul sea kind of strikes multiple of these ships, right, and takes them out.
Yeah, so and Sazh is just like, I like this foul sea. Like,
yeah,
killing our enemies for us.
It's that easy.
Yeah, but Vanille's like, oh, there's more of them just in pursuit of us, and then our ship kind of gets hit a little bit. It doesn't fully destroy it, but quickly, just like, you know, tailspin, we're going down, and
yeah, there's no more flying.
No one's yelling timber.
Yeah, everyone's yelling timber.
Now we can save.
And now we can save.
Cool. And then
and thus begins chapter 4?
Yeah, now we're on chapter 4. 7 episodes in? 8 episodes in? How many fucking episodes? Chapter 4, baby. I am on
game's a
data
dense
save
game.
number 29 for those keeping track.
Much
at home.
like Final Fantasy X, I have a save file for every time I save.
Same. I'm wondering if it's going to run out like it did in Final Fantasy X. When I hit like 250 on Switch and it was like, you need to delete some save files. And I was like, oh no.
No.
But yeah, we get a nice title card here. And it's called The Vile Peaks, which is a very cool name. And it's
Cocoon Deadlands.
Yeah. And we kind of see some like a structure that's on fire. I don't think that's the ship.
I think this is our ship.
Oh yeah, that is our ship. Yeah, it looks a lot more green. The texture palette that they use had to be
It's completely smashed, and we're just thankfully just fine.
We're thankfully just fine and somehow outside of the ship as well and passed out. So
Listen, we're Lassie. Of course that's going to happen.
That's fair. That's fair.
Read the data logs.
They're thrown out just as far as if this was like a car crash, not like a fucking spaceship crash.
Yeah. Lightning activated her AMP technology and was able to
that's right.
take
that's
a brunt of it, most of it.
I'm sure there's some sort of like airbag system using
future airbags. It's just a foul sea that's inside of every single ship.
Yeah, the airbag falsy.
That's right.
Clearly it was Sarah, our
it was Sarah watching over us.
Exactly, yeah. But we see some Pantherons around. Everyone's kind of like knocked the fuck out. Lightning.
These Pantherons just will not give up. Every time every time we arrive in a new place, without us knowing it, is always like a kind of a voyeuristic view. We're looking over the party, and then a Pantheron comes out. I'm like, these fuckers are always sneaking up on us.
Yeah. We need to get a Dirge of Cerberus event here where we just get a railgun and we just get to shoot all the Pantherons that are running towards the camera. But we see Lightning. She's like looking around and sees the rest of the party. They're all fine. They're just like, out of commission. And she just kind of gets up and is looking around, sees these Pantherons coming for her. She takes out her gun blade, and then it kind of just goes to black. And then we see Vanille waking up, and
it's a weird gap. It almost feels like they thought about maybe making Lightning do a solo battle and decide like not to put it in there.
Maybe.
And they're like, it's Pantherons, who fucking cares? It's also a weird kind of thing. Like, I'm gonna get nitpicky here for a second, but Vanille like puts her hands up to her face, and I think it's like an instance of it not aging particularly well. Like, we've talked a lot about how great this game looks, but something just about that animation of her hands just in front of her face look, not really believable, where everything else that we've seen in this game is believable. But
they prioritize making the faces look as good as possible, so there's some geometry they kind of sacrificed in the hands and stuff in here.
Exactly, yeah, and it's completely fine. Again, just me being nitpicky.
So on the in-engine cutscenes are a little clunky.
Exactly, which I think this is one of those, right? It's not the fully rendered.
There's actually a lot of cutscenes in this game that you think are in-engine, but it is actually pre-rendered in-engine.
Yeah, makes sense. It's just not using the full suite of,
That's how it like hides like all the loading screens.
Okay.
Nice, interesting.
So it's able to like play like, okay, we're about to go to a different area, so like it'll play something the bookend of this area, but it'll be pre-rendered even though it looks like it's in game.
Gotcha.
As it's loading the next area. But yeah, we everyone, it's just our party. With
Sazh, Vanille, and Lightning.
We are. Yeah, Commando, Ravager, and Medic.
Yeah, and this is just a normal battle. There's nothing crazy about this.
Yeah, there's not really too much to talk about it.
Freaking Pantherons.
It is a cute interaction before that where Vanille's like waking everyone up, like, hey, we got to get up.
Wake up, everybody.
Yeah. And then Sazh saying, got to keep you kids safe, right? And Lightning's just like, don't crowd me. Like.
So yeah, we beat the Pantherons after that, and everybody's like winded, right, from like the flight and the chase, and then crashing, and then having to immediately get up and fight Pantherons.
The
and so
adrenaline crash of almost getting killed multiple times, and then crashing into where the Vile Peaks now.
Right, and the party's kind of like, oh, okay, glad that's over, glad we lost them, blah blah blah. And Lightning just gets up and starts to walk away. And they're like, what are you doing? Where are you going? And she's like, yeah, I'm continuing on. And Sazh is like, we don't have that kind of stamina. Like, we're not soldiers. You can't just do that,
Yeah. Sazh is like, we've got soul, but we are not soldiers.
The killers. I've got soul. Me, a complete idiot. Oh, you must be a soldier.
And Lightning, like, does not care. Just continues on walking. And Sazh and Vanille don't show any sign of wanting to get up and follow Lightning, but Hope stands up and he's like, hey, and he like doesn't quite know what to say, and Sazh is like, yeah, you should just go ahead and stick with Lightning, like that's probably your best bet. Yeah. And he's like, okay, and so he's like, I'll see you later, and he runs after Lightning.
I do like the little jabs that they kind of take at each other too. Like Sazh is like, dude, we're not fucking soldiers. We don't have the kind of stamina that you have. And like in like real like 8th grade teacher like mentality, Lightning's just like, you've got enough to complain. Like, like, what a fuck you. Like,
no,
if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yeah. What an asshole.
Lightning. And then, like, it's funny too, because like
I'd hate for her to be my fucking like manager at Starbucks.
Oh my god, I know.
Oh my god, yeah. It's like the other picture where it's like, you know that she's trying to run this McDonald's like it's the army. Yeah, Hope is very sweet though when he's saying goodbye to them, because he's still
very
got
good.
enough energy, and he wants to, you know, he obviously wants to keep running, and he just is like, okay, like thank you, like
he probably also knows that like, you know, he wants to catch up to where snow is, and also
that's
wants to
true,
stay safe.
yeah.
But he also like well, this guy, if I have any chance of maybe seeing snow again, or
yeah. And you're probably your best chance of surviving too is probably like to go with Lightning.
Yeah, true.
And so it's just Sazh and Vanille now, right?
Yeah, and we see Lightning when she leaves. She kind of like jumps over some like trash and like structures and stuff. And when during the scene while Sazh and Vanille are talking, we hear their voices, but we see Hope like slowly climbing over that trash and like trying to make it to where Lightning was.
This is a weird animation because like I'm like watching it and it's like
dude, he puts his leg way up there.
He's like almost leaning backwards climbing this giant like engine block or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like a giant engine block. Yeah,
I was reading the data logs about this, and luckily there is a version of Global Guts on Cocoon in Bobbin, which is why Hope and his mom were there. He was actually a competitor on there. He didn't take home a piece of that glowing radical rock, but he did manage to come in 2nd place on the aggro crags, so that's why he's so good at climbing.
He's putting that to work right now.
Yeah, he's hitting some buttons, and some smoke machine is like blowing glitter in his face or whatever the fuck.
But Sazh and Vanille are discussing like what they're gonna do and where they're gonna go, and Sazh is kind of like, well, I don't know where to go. There's no place in Cocoon that's safe for us anymore.
The whole of Cocoon's against us. No matter how far we run, there's no escape. That Sazh clock, it's still a ticking.
There's still time. You give up too easy, old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give up too easy, old man. And he goes, yeah, I'm not giving up, but some things you just can't change.
Yeah, and he's like, a kid like you wouldn't understand it. Vanille takes some umbrage with that, and she says, yeah, I'm a kid, right? Like, I don't understand anything. Like, and she gets all pouty and stuff, and he's like, well, I guess we can be fugitives together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of like hits her on the shoulder a little bit and like pushes her a bit, and he's like, you ready? And she's like, oh, I'm ready. And then she like pushes him along. They have a really cute dynamic that I really like. Lot.
Yeah. So this is maybe my
the least sulky characters.
Yeah, I would say this is my 2nd favorite part of the game. I'll let you know when my favorite part of the game comes up, but this is my 2nd favorite part of the game because I love a Hope and Lightning story, and I love a Sazh and Vanille story.
Nice,
like,
yeah.
It's incredible.
It very much reminds me of in Avatar: The Last Airbender. In the like final season of it, there's like a new party member there, and everyone has to go on like, I think they call them side quests or like field trips with this character, and it's like the dynamic is so different. It's one that you hadn't seen. Like, you've always known these characters and stuff, but it's really cool. Like, episode seeing how they all interact.
Yeah,
they're always just talking about their field trips with them, and it's really good. It reminds me of this. It's like there's always a different field trip that's going on.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
This is where we get a trophy if you're playing on PS3, where you get Instrument of Flight is the trophy. I've been meaning to call out each of the trophies as I got them, but I haven't been paying attention. But we are on the dismal dunescape of the Vile Peaks.
Oh, I didn't even read that. The dismal dunescape.
Yeah.
I like that if you try to, well, I think you have to try it, but if you go up to that big engine block that Hope climbed over, like, because presumably you'll follow them, right?
Yeah.
It begins to roll, like, after you, and it destroys the bridge that you would use to get where they are, and so you're, like, completely cut off from them.
Yeah.
End of the road, says Sazh. But then Vanille says, but at least it's not the end of the line.
Yeah, yeah.
But we do get another cutscene back to, I think it's
2 days before the purge. It's day 11, right?
Day 11, yeah.
It's day 11 again, so it's that we're seeing the super fireworks display in the egg. We do get a shot of Vanille, so like it's kind of a fake out. Like I was like, oh, we're gonna get some Vanille backstory. Cool, finally.
No, but we don't. Yeah, we just see that she's there. But it's interesting though that like
We see the vestige behind her.
We do.
It's kind of cool. Like, it's all glowing and not green. It's just orange out there.
I do like that there is that this whole thing of like, oh, all these different people just so happened to be together on, on the day that Bobbin was purged. Well, what brought everybody here, kind of thing.
Coincidence.
It's kind of neat. Coincidence.
But Vanille's doing her cool double horns.
Yeah, her
prayer.
Metal horns.
Yeah.
Perhaps making a wish, because she's doing that as she looks at the fireworks.
Everyone is doing it.
Yeah. Is everyone doing the hand thing?
I don't think everyone. I think it's only her.
No, I think she's the only one I've seen doing it. I've been keeping my eyes peeled for that because it's so cool.
Teach me how to blitz. But yeah, we go over and Lightning is here, looking all starry-eyed.
What's her boss's name?
Amadar.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Wedge. A much softer Lightning we get to see here, kind of just, in her element as
I
a member
love this.
of the Guardian Corps, talking to her commanding officer, who seems like a real fucking awesome person.
He seems chill. He gives me big, like, Uncle Tito vibes from Rocket Power.
Yo, hell yeah, dude.
I do like that we get to see at least once Lightning not in the fucking kill mode, you know what I mean? We're gonna see what she's like outside of it. And she's like
a little softer. She's not as pissed off.
Yeah, this is before she knows that Sarah is a lessee. She's just doing her cushy job in the seaside town that she's, from or just stationed in or whatever. And, she's got a bunch of friends and shit. And she's got this cool ass, like, commanding officer who's like, we'll see here that he's like getting ready for her to get a promotion.
Yeah.
You were saying he has kind of a Chicago-y kind of...
Oh, yeah, his accent is super fucking good. I think I was, like, comparing it to, like, Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Yeah, he does sound like a younger Carl from...
Yeah, like a less angry Carl, just like, you look dreamy,
This is vestige, you in my freaking car!
Yeah. I told you, I work out at a home.
But yeah, he meets her there watching the fireworks, and he kind of gives her a little shit, He's like,
You look dreamy, Farron. Wishing on fireworks, were you? And you call yourself a soldier. Ah.
Sorry, Lieutenant. But I really don't think guard duty is my calling, sir.
Which, like, makes sense. She's a little bit insane for having a
she
cushy
loves
desk
violence
job.
and
she loves violence.
Is kind of counterproductive to that.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of violence, like what kind of opportunity she would have for like kicking ass in Bobbin.
Yeah, but
I guess just like beating the shit out of Pantherons that are probably like attacking the city.
But I think this is kind of interesting here is that he's like, lucky for you, your shift just ended. Pack it up and go home. And she's like, oh, you're letting me off early or whatever. She doesn't really know. And he gets very serious and he's like, look, Psycom found something in the vestige nearby. They don't want the Guardian Corps here stepping on their toes.
Yeah.
So, he says, I'm sure you heard about the accident at the Uride Gorge energy plant. It's got those Psycom lads in a tizzy. And so, like,
while he's saying this, it kind of just shows the crowd, and everyone's kind of cheering, and we can see like Psycom soldiers just kind of standing there, like fully decked out in their uniforms, like looking around and stuff.
Yeah,
so
like something's getting ready to happen, and like
Lightning like focuses in and sees like one of them holding their gun and stuff. So she's kind of like, I feel like she's kind of putting stuff together here.
Yeah, and she even says like, "Oh, is it something pulse related?" And so,
yeah,
like,
she says
I feel
more incident than accident. Like she's again. Things being reported as something that it's really not, and some people are probably seeing through it, others might just be turning a blind eye to it because it makes accepting it a lot easier.
Yeah, I like that, like, Lieutenant Amadar is a little bit like, he kind of like knows, probably doesn't know that like the purge is getting ready to happen, but he knows enough to be like, hey, you should leave town now.
Yeah,
like
you're pretty cool, you shouldn't come to school tomorrow is what
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, you should get out of here.
But he's like, oh, you taking off tomorrow? And Lightning's like, sir, yeah, it's for my birthday, sir. My sister insisted on it. Which is a bold fucking baller move of Sarah to be like, I'm going to tell her that shit that I'm dreading telling her on her birthday. Not my birthday. Not my birthday when I'm like, you can't be mad at me on my birthday. But like,
I can imagine
I'm
that
go
she
ahead
like
and ruin her fucking birthday.
I can imagine that she tells her in like order of like, the easiest thing to hear to the hardest thing to hear. So she's like, so when Sarah tells Lightning, she's like, okay, look, I'm a pulseless sea. And she's like, oh my God, how could this be any
this is
worse?
The worst news I've ever heard. And she's like, by the way, me and Snow are getting married. And she's like,
it's like, that's so much worse.
Yeah, but this conversation kind of goes on and you know, her commander's like, 21, huh? Like, maybe it's a good time to send off that letter of recommendation for officer training. He puts his hand on her shoulder and she's like, oh, like lieutenant. And he says, you're past due for a promotion, Farron. Think of your sister and your future. You know, and he like smiles, like, again, just like really good vibes off this guy.
Yeah, like this guy. And he goes, and keep your nose out of trouble. And she goes, out of SciComm business, you mean? And he's like, yeah, nothing's good gonna come of that. Nothing but grief.
Yeah, he's trying to protect her. Like, he knows that bad shit's on the way, and he's like, you know, like he genuinely seems to care about Lightning, and he's trying to make sure that she avoids it all.
Right.
And then he just kind of changes the
it's like, whoa, look at that
one. Blow the freaking roof off this place.
I also noticed I'm curious. The pauldrons are part of ranking because he has 2 orange ones and she still has just the one.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah,
they're identical, but to hers. But his glows orange and he has 2 of them, and hers glow yellow.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
It must be some sort of, and that makes sense.
Yeah, everybody has like little glowy things. Like even the SciComm soldiers.
SciComm's got like the Tron thing going on.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But yeah, we hear a voice over Lightning says, "How right you were, Lieutenant."
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, I want to read his data log real quick, just because I think I read it before getting to this, and I was already like, this dude seems fucking cool. And so then when I saw that scene, it like kind of put it into more context, where I'm like, hell yeah. Amadar is a lieutenant in the Bodum Security Regiment and was Lightning's direct superior. Climbing his way through the ranks with persistence and hard work, he is respected by his subordinates for his fair treatment on and off the battlefield. Nora's unregulated monster hunting falls under his jurisdiction. But aside from a few warnings for the sake of formality, he generally turns a blind eye to the group's earnest efforts. He's like, these kids are just trying to help out any way they can. I'll leave them alone. He'll be like, hey, Nora, keep that shit down. And then he's just like, he winks at them and like walks away. Like,
yeah. He gets on the skateboard and does a kickflip.
Yeah, he tries to do a kickflip and fucks it up. He's like, yeah, I used to be able to do that about 50 pounds ago. He's got a dope ass mustache too. I just want to put that on the record.
He's a good guy. I'll you know what? I wouldn't, but I'll go ahead and give critical support to Lieutenant Amadar. Exactly.
That's how you know it's a fantasy game.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, we get more present day Lightning, and she's like, "Oh, how right you were, Lieutenant."
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
And she's just kind of walking ahead, and Hope is trailing behind her, like finally caught up to her, and she's like, "Just you."
Yeah, yeah. And he's like, "Yep." And she's like, "Well, the others will catch up eventually." And then if we go into our Crystarium, we'll see that we have new skills available. Boy.
We also get a like a primer here that talks about the synergist role that we now have, which synergists play a supporting role in combat using their abilities to enhance and strengthen themselves and their allies. I think we've already talked about synergists. I think we've already had that role in another battle maybe, and we were kind of doing it.
I think maybe Vanille has that role.
Yeah,
we at least,
this is our first time I think Hope has it. So, but it basically just adds buffs and stuff to your party members.
Yeah, it's like the stuff that like the Fortisol or whatever will give you.
Vanille gets Saboteur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which Saboteur is similar. It casts debuffs on the enemies, like D-Protect or D-Shell.
Right. But yeah. So we're finally into a section where we can do some battling and running around, and we get to experience the Vile Peaks for what it is.
Yeah.
Which is I like this area. It's kind of long. Like there's a lot to get through. There's a lot of battles.
Kind of just a junkyard, right?
It's just a big junkyard. So like it's so we get a data log about the Vile Peaks, and we learned that like during the War of Transgression, like 1,000 years ago or whatever, right? That Pulse's army never made it to Cocoon. Like they were never able to like breach it, but they were able to do like hull damage. Like they were able to like destroy some of it. And so that's kind of like why we get like, you know, the vestige or the vestige, right? Is that like the Fal'Cie came down and picked up entire buildings and shit and repaired Cocoon with stuff it found on Pulse. And they explained that this is the leftover of that because not everything was usable. And so instead of just taking their garbage back to Pulse, they just put it in the Vile Peaks. And so the Vile Peaks is a lot of stuff that's either broken off chunks of Cocoon or garbage from Pulse. That's kind of what we're working on. I like it. But and like, even though it's disgusting and a giant landfill, different creatures have started to live here, and there's some plants and grass that's begun to like grow through the garbage. So it's like
life
it finds a way. And it does. Yeah,
this area does remind me a bit of Sector 7 in the 7 remake.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because there are like we will see like certain kind of mechanical enemies and stuff like that. And because it is just like a big giant junkyard. We also start fighting some kind of stronger Pantherons called Thixterons, I think.
Thixterons?
Thixterons. They were kind of greener and meaner.
Greener and meaner. We also fight some of those watch drones are here as well.
Yeah.
I hate those guys.
It kind of starts like amping up, like you were saying in a previous episode, Curtis, where it's like, oh shit, now I know how to take care of this in this new role where, you know, lightning and hope is a weird pairing compared to what we've been used to so far. So you got to kind of learn that. They only throw one of the chunkier Pantherons at you at first, but then they kind of start doing other things and you're like, shit, how do I need to prioritize this battle to get it taken care of? And they kind of slowly start amping up the difficulty in that way. And I think you were saying, Curtis, that this is like your favorite part of the game, or like one of your favorite parts?
I like the dynamic between the characters a lot.
Yeah. I want to point out, I think if I'm remembering correctly, Zwanzig said that this is speedrunners' least favorite parts, just because the erratic movements of all of the enemies, it makes it really hard to kind of just sneak past them, and you get a lot of battles that you don't necessarily want to take.
Speaking of enemies, there is an enemy is introduced here that will become a classic for the rest of the game. The Pulsework Soldier.
Yeah, it's like the mech dude I was talking about.
Love this guy. Love this cute little guy.
Yeah, these guys are really cool.
He's also asymmetrical like Anima. He has like a little hanging claw thing.
Oh, he does. I didn't even notice.
I just put it together. That is like,
because he has 2 arms, but
yeah,
on one side he has a kind of weird, like almost like farm equipment claw that Anima
I noticed that as well and thought that was very cool.
So I guess because they're both from Pulse, right? I think we know that Anima or the Falces are associated with Pulse in some degree.
At least the Pulse Falces,
yeah, I guess that's true.
But
there's some connections.
Yeah, but I like that. Like, so this enemy is very interesting because like he does not take damage, right? Like it you just wail on it forever.
I think magic and physical stuff is like halved.
Yeah,
and
you can just sit there forever trying to kill these guys.
It takes a long time.
Until
I got a lot of like 0-star fights because this thing would just take forever to whittle down.
Until you stagger them, and then they take insane amounts of damage, and you can just melt through them like fucking butter.
It's when you stagger them, they kind of pop open like
they pop open. Yeah,
it's like a Rock'em Sock'em robot.
Yeah,
it's like they're cooling. They think they overheated, so they crack open like their little robot nougat to cool down.
Yeah, and it's got the cool like energy kind of just emanating from it.
This little this little energy core is just like cooling off, but that just allows you to kind of wail on it. And
I like that when they do pop open, they look around. they'll like the head's still looking around, like like this ain't good.
Like their pants just fell down. They
that's what they look
stomping
like.
Back and forth and saying, "Old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be."
Also, has 2 peg legs, like or like Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah,
kind of cute.
I like these guys. I like the Pulsework Soldier.
Yeah,
I mean, like
they're very cool.
They can be a pain, like especially if you find like 3 of them in a row or whatever, because their normal attack is essentially like lightning's blitz. So if you're all standing in the same area and you're working on one of them and then 2 of them decide to attack you, it's like everybody gets hit for half their HP. So it can be a little annoying.
I think these enemies were really effective for me because they started out as like me being like, fuck, it's another one of these things. But then eventually I got to the point of just melting them, like you were saying, and just like the empowerment that you feel from that is just so nice. You're just like,
it is,
hell yeah, I finally figured it out. This game is really good at making you feel like you're smart as hell, and then like immediately after that making you feel dumb as shit because you just are not as good at the battle system in a certain configuration as you thought you were.
Yeah. And like speaking of configurations, this area really starts to throw weird configurations of enemies at you.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting because we get to see a bunch of enemies individually, and then every different permutation and mix of those enemies. And then when we feel like that's easy and we've learned how to deal with all of it. It's like, okay, but what if you didn't have those characters? What if you had different characters with different roles? Now go through all the permutations of the enemies. So it's really interesting how this game trains you.
It seems like it's like another tutorial area, kind of like just being like,
in
okay,
a way,
this is a really robust battle system that is kind of hard to sink in. So we're kind of going to force you to have to let it sink in because, like, again, the gloves are just off and they slowly ramp you up to it. They give you all of the tools to know how to take down each thing individually. But then you come to a point where you have to strategize against multiple ones at once.
Right.
And it's like, it's really effective. It's really, really cool.
I agree.
And again, like we were saying before, losing is so, like, it's a non-issue in this game because it just puts you back a couple steps and then you get to try again. And you're like, oh, like, and there's a couple in here where I started off and I like did the wrong thing and I was just like, just going to take that one again. I'm going to hit pause. I'm going to hit select. And we're retrying.
I didn't die at all in this section, but I did retry a couple times where I was like, you know what? I didn't like that beginning. That wasn't good.
Yeah.
I could do that better. This game's good.
We're hopping around.
Yeah, we're hopping around down some hallways.
Also, it's worth mentioning the vibe of this area. Even though we were like just near the sun, it is dark here.
Yeah.
And I really love the kind of glow of the horizon as we enter like a battle because there's like it's completely blue and dark, but like there's this beautiful like warm glow coming over the horizon line.
You can look up and see some nice constellations and or perhaps an aurora borealis of some kind.
No, so that's the thing. You don't see any constellations. You see the cities on the other side of Cocoon.
Oh, that's even cooler. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
I was going to say, when you were saying that, I was like, I feel dumb. It's
no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
No, I was saying,
okay.
I feel dumb. That's probably just a bunch of like star fallacy or some shit. No, that's even cooler.
No, I thought that was amazing when I like realized, like, wait a minute, what? Like,
yeah,
that's
cool. Really cool. It's like reverse light pollution, where it's like, oh, I can never see any stars because of all
the stars
all the city
are the
lights,
cities.
and now it's like, ooh, the city lights are the stars.
Yeah. It's cool. I like the way it is. Like, the concept is so outlandish, but it's fun to explore.
It's really good.
The music is also kind of cool in this area. It's just this kind of thumping.
Yeah,
I do like this music.
Kind of mysterious, eerie vibe.
I guess like the sun then, like, you think the sun is kind of like, it has like a lampshade on one side. It's like a desk lamp, you know, where it just rotates.
There's like it has a recharging port in the one end of Cocoon, so it's just in a hole somewhere, so you can still see it glowing over the horizon line. Like, yeah, it'll come back later.
So good.
But we kind of make our way through here, and then we see like
we hit a wall, right?
Yeah, we kind of we come up to like a precipice that Lightning just jumps off of and does her cool flips and stuff. And Hope is also able to get down there because it's a video game.
I would like to say that we make it to a wall that has another exit. Like, there's another way to go besides this wall. But if you approach it, the game is like, no, I want you to interact with the wall.
Yeah,
that's for something else.
We'll find out what that area does pretty quick.
We do.
Yeah, but Hope kind of just gives us some dialogue and says, dead end, guess we have to go back. Like, hey, you can't go that way, you know? I don't see any way over that. And then we kind of go up to that wall.
It looks like a dam or something like
that.
Maybe, yeah.
Who knows, but it has lots of circuitry and stuff. But Hope says, like, you know where you're going, right? And Lightning says, yeah, I've been on missions here before.
I thought that was interesting.
What kind of missions do you think the Lightning's been on here?
Yeah, well, she says nothing to do with the Purge.
Yeah, Hope's like, oh, nothing to do with the Purge, right? Like, he's very like, and she's like, no, that's a Psychom thing. Yeah. But she explains, she's like, the military is split into two arms: the Public Security and Intelligence Command, known as Psychom, and the Guardian Corps. I was in the Guardian Corps, the Bodum Security Regiment. And it's like, yeah, okay, you were a mall cop. That's cool.
Yeah.
But Hope is like, well, then why were you on the train if you're not part of Psychom?
Oh,
yeah. And she says, for Sarah. And we get another flashback.
A really good flashback.
Love this flashback.
A nice little snappy, but very good flashback. And we are now, I'm guessing,
day 13. Yeah.
This is basically, you know, maybe an hour before the game starts.
Yeah, this is like right before we entered the game with everyone on the train.
And I love that. I love that we get to see like what happened just prior. Like, it's super cool.
It's also really cool that everyone always says how linear this game is because of the gameplay of it, and you just kind of go from one end of the game to the next.
Yeah.
But I love that the way the storytelling kind of just ping-pongs around, and does so in a way that
you're right.
you can read up on the data logs if you want, so you can become familiar with characters before you see them, so you can kind of digest the information that the game has in its fiction as you go along with it. Like, oh yeah, Lightning would know who her lieutenant is, so I can read about him before getting into, the cutscene with him. Or, like if you're constantly looking at the data logs, it kind of gives you a diegetic way of absorbing the information that the game is presenting to you. And I really, really like that way of storytelling.
That's an interesting point. I never really thought about it that way. But like for everybody who says 13 is very linear, like the walking around is linear, but no other aspect of the game is linear. And like that's an interesting point to bring up.
Yeah, I think most, besides I guess 7, maybe some 10, like most Final Fantasies do seem like what's ahead of us is the story.
Yeah.
Not so much what was behind us. Like
I think at this point in the game, the farthest back that we can go in the data logs is just day 5. And what day 5 says is just that incident that Lightning was talking to her commander.
Yeah, the Uride Gorge incident.
Yeah, and it doesn't give us any additional information. It's not like, here's the events of what happened and here's how you should feel about it or anything. It's literally just like kind of just reiterating what it said in the cutscene, but giving a few more details, but nothing jumped out at me to where I was like, oh, I want to talk about this on the podcast, other than that it's there.
I don't even remember. Like, this is genuinely true. I don't remember what the first, 5 days of that list incorporate. So I'm once again incredibly excited to go back and find out, what was really cool, on day 1.
We don't even know the significance of why the Purge Day is day 13. Like, I'm assuming the vestige was found or whatever on day 1 or something. Who knows?
I don't know. I think the vestige was... One of the vestiges like day 9 or something? Because the vestige had already
been there, and SciComm on day 11, they had just been like, oh, we found something bad in there. You might want to not come to school tomorrow.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great.
It's really cool. I really like
unraveling the mystery.
We're finding out what the story is, because, once we figure out what day 1 is, then we can kind of, maybe frame everything. What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't remember when they show you.
The wrap-up episode of this season will probably be pretty chunky.
Yeah.
But, we're at Bobbin Station at day 13, and... this is basically kind of a TSA gate check where everyone's getting put onto the train.
This looks nothing like a SEPTA station. I just want to say there is
not even the Wawa one that they just opened up.
Did they open a Wawa
SEPTA
station?
The regional rail line. I think it used to be called Media Elwyn, but now it's called Media Wawa.
Oh, holy shit!
What?
I used to take that one.
Yeah, it's the Media Wawa line.
Can I eat Wawa on the train?
What a time to be alive.
But it's weird seeing trains with Wawa on it now.
That's a little disturbing. I do love Wawa, but I love Wawa, but I don't know that I want them to be in charge of my public transit.
No, exactly. What could possibly go wrong?
But I do want to visit a Wawa station, though.
It opened today, so a lot of people, I saw some people are like, I'm going to Wawa today.
Well, this may be more
brings
akin
new
to
meaning to going on a Wawa run.
Yeah.
I would not mind being purged to a Wawa. Located to.
Yeah, everyone. Luckily, day 13 did coincide with Hoagie Fest, so everyone does have $5 classic hoagies, which is good. So they're all wearing their weird tie-dye shirts that say Wawa on it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we're at the Bobbin station, and we can kind of just see everyone's. They're not in their robes yet or anything, but everyone's.
Some of them are in the robes. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we do see behind them there is a changing room with a weird force field, people going in and then coming out wearing the robes.
Yeah, exactly. And SciComm's just follow instructions and stay in your line, join in the line. Personal belongings will be returned upon arrival. So they just took their shit, and then they're like, oh yeah, you'll get it back when the purge is successful and you're on pulse.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're doing everything to try to keep everybody calm and orderly and non-suspicious.
Yeah, and then they immediately stop doing that.
And they immediately stop doing that.
2 people just make a run for it, and this is a very grisly thing.
This is a disgusting
fun aside,
scene,
guys. This is fucked up. The SciComm soldiers just kind of chase after them. They're after them, and just they start opening fire on them.
They just
And
fucking open fire on these people and light them up.
Obviously, everyone else is terrified, and it kind of just, you know, shows you the stakes here. And like, we already knew this.
There were some bystanders like they were just kind of in disbelief, and there actually was one guy who's like, "Those are warning shots, right?"
Yeah,
it's
like,
completely like, no, dude.
It's one of the things where, again, kind of just hammering home the gravity of the situation and how everyday people might not really realize how fucked up Sanctum actually is, and that the best interest of the people might not actually be what the Sanctum is saying it is, and they're basically like, you know, like, oh yeah, don't worry, we got all your cool stuff, you'll get it when you get to your destination. And then people run and they just immediately shoot them down. Like, very, very dark, very grisly.
And as soon as that happens, the guard who's kind of in charge of directing everybody is like, I repeat, stay in your lines.
Yeah, this is for your own safety. And then we see Lightning kind of walking up forward to him. She goes up to the
walking up to him like a real motherfucker.
Yeah, and then he looks at her pauldron that has the, you know, the two glowing things that Alex brought up. Again, probably a show of rank, because he's like, hey, you don't need to be here.
What's the GC doing here? This op's under SciComm direction.
So direct me. Let me on. I want to be purged.
He like stops and he like leans close to her. He's like looking around and stuff, and he's like, you don't have to do this, dude. Like, only civs get purged. Sanctum staff and soldiers are exempt, which, again, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah.
Like, oh no, you get you're fine. You're one of us. Like, you don't have to.
Cops don't need to wear masks or.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout outs to that firefighter that got fired recently. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
But he just explaining how fucked up it is again, and she just like takes out her weapon and hands it to him, and she's like, I guess I quit then. Like, yeah, like, I'm a civilian now. And he's like, okay, line up. And he's like, you know, he doesn't give a fuck. He was like, hey, I tried.
He's like, whatever, man. I tried.
But Sazh happens to see this.
Sazh sees it. He's in the line and he sees her do this. Yeah.
And he's like, I want to fucking get to know this person. And he runs up to her.
Oh, that's right. He moves up from one line to, there's like 3 lines, and he's like, he moves from his line to her line because he wants to kind of see what the fuck.
Yeah, and he just says,
I thought he was like being sneaky at first, but I realized like, oh yeah, he was already in line.
Yeah, he was like, I need to see what's going on with this, because like that's an unheard of thing to see. And he probably understands it since he's adjacent to the military as like the pilot. But he goes, excuse me, hey lady. Like,
yeah,
hey lady.
He's like, what gives? Like, and she said, I volunteered. He's like, really? You don't look ready to go quiet into that good night, which I fucking love.
I love that. So love that.
And
her response,
Lightning, in her own way, is saying, you seem cool, don't come to school tomorrow. She says, you want quiet? You'd better take the next train.
Oh,
and Sazh
incredible.
Is just
Chef's kiss line right there.
Sazh is into it, and he's like, well, now I really want to see what you're up to. And he just follows right behind her, and it's so good, dude. Oh, it's so sick.
I do love this, like, fucking ice cold focus like Lightning has. She's like, I'm gonna get on this train and murder everyone.
She's like, I am going to fuck shit up in a way that you have probably never seen shit get so fucked up. So, you know.
Owns.
Lightning has a voiceover here again to kind of bookend it. Says, I had to rescue Sarah before they transported the vestige to Pulse and out of my reach. My only chance to save her was to join the Purge.
And I'm gonna go purge myself in the bathroom.
Well, I was gonna say this quick little thing because we're about to change over to the other characters.
Then I'll do the joke. You can leave that one in or cut it out. I don't care.
But
yeah, but Hope's like, oh, you're telling me that you got on that train so that you could save your sister.
Yeah, and like he's like, I'm crazy. I could never do anything like that.
Yeah, and Lightning
says it's not a question of can or can't.
Yeah,
some
it's
things
not a question
you just
of can
do.
or can't. Yeah, like some things you just have to do. Like there are some things in life you just
a baby's got to do what a baby's got to do.
Yeah. And as she's saying that, she's climbing that cliff, right?
Yeah, and Hope is also kind of dejected, and he's like, "Yo, that's easy for you to say." And as she's like jumping away and climbing, he's like, "Lightning." God, I fucking love this so much.
I know, and she just leaves. She just straight up like climbs that cliff and just walks on. And he's like, what the fuck? She left me here.
I mean, he did say, like, I could never do anything like that. And she was like, cool.
She's like, all right, see you. Like,
yeah. And he does say, she left me.
What the fuck, dude?
That's great.
He left us, but that's not what I'm going to do. And much like that guy in Jurassic Park who left the kids so that he can run into the bathroom and take a shit and get eaten by a T-Rex as he's doo-dooing out his asshole. I think Curtis is going to do the same.
I am. I'm going to go get eaten by a T-Rex while I do out my asshole.
I'm going to volunteer.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Some things you just duty. Oh, it's okay. Okay, bye.
She's turning to crystal. She was a lassie.
She was a lassie.
Hope's all alone.
All alone.
And we're stuck in Vile Peaks.
We're at Vile Peaks. Billy man. That was good. So, what happens now? Oh, yeah. So, we're over to Sazh and Vanille, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are going on their mystical journey.
Yeah, we cut to... This is the part that I actually reminded Carl of, because we cut over and it's just the back of Sazh, because he's trying to figure out where they're going. It's Chocobo pops out of his fro, and we see Vanille is hoisting herself up onto a ledge.
1, 2, 3, off we go.
What are you up to? Hey!
Sazh turns around and is like, what are you up to? And then immediately, like, gets a glimpse of something he maybe doesn't need to see.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand what the deal was. I'm sorry.
I didn't realize that either. And Alex pointed it out, and I was like, I don't remember that. And then I went back and watched my video, and I was like, oh my fucking god, yeah, that is absolutely what happens. And
that's exactly what I'm watching it right now. That's exactly. I didn't even realize what was going on.
This is some real like Master Roshi trope energy here that I don't think really aligns. I don't think they're like, oh, Sazh is being pervy or whatever. It's just
no.
Like,
he looks horrified.
Yeah, he's like, oh my god.
Oh,
and like
no.
as he's like looking, we can kind of see through his point of view, and the Chocobo chick jumps out of his hair and floats down. So we don't see anything, which I guess is a win for the developers not being super.
I mean,
creepy.
she's wearing fur over her ass anyway, so it's not like we would have seen anything. But
yeah.
But Chocobo blocks his view and kind of scoldingly like quays at him. It's very funny.
Yeah,
it's like, hey.
Scoldingly works at him.
Yeah. As he's trying to like pull himself up after Vanille, because she's just kind of just gung-ho, just going full throttle ahead. The Chocobo is like cheering on Sazh and is kind of just like doing like a heave-ho type thing. It's really cute. But yeah, now we get more of a primer about the synergist role and what we can use. I think we already talked about that as well. I think we got the
But now with Sazh, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and so the thing is that even though these characters learn the same roles, they do not have the same skills.
Right, exactly.
And that continues on to the end of the game, too. So even at the very end, you have to be like, okay, which character has what?
Yeah, it's not like a sphere grid where you can turn Sazh into Kamari or something. Like
right.
It kind of just tells us that Sazh can use the Faith spell, which raises the target's magic. It's like, I forget what that was called in Final Fantasy X, but similar to Cheer, but for magic. And also, he'll be able to learn Bravery, which will boost the target's strength. Right now, we don't really have a character that would benefit from having strength raised, so in this role, you know, he can boost either his own magic or Vanille's, which will be pretty helpful.
Let me say, and Bravery is pretty early on in the Crystarium too. It's like the second thing you can learn, so you can get real quick. But can I just say, Faith and Bravery, game changers in this game. I don't know what the actual like multiplier is for the magic or the strength. I should probably look it up.
Gotta get
frankly,
Zwanzig on the line right now.
Yeah, but like it is significant. Like, it does a lot. It's a huge difference. And because Vanille has Saboteur, she can reduce their physical and magical defense. And if you reduce somebody's, physical magical defense and then Faith and Bravery your party, you do a lot of damage. Like, you just melt through people. So it's huge
really,
in this game.
Really nice. But we also get another primer about three-way battles, which is a really cool mechanic where at times you're going to encounter enemy groups engaging in battle with one another. So similar to like what happens in Elden Ring, you'll come up on a battle and you won't like get a preemptive strike usually, I don't think, but you'll be in a battle, and one of those what were the Mecha Man,
the pulse work soldiers.
Yeah, the pulse work soldiers will be fighting some of the other enemies and stuff, and you can kind of just hang back and watch it happen.
Things,
you can preemptive them. Though.
It's basically the pulse robots versus the SciComm robots.
Yeah, exactly. Which really changes how to strategize in a very cool way and in a very effective way. Again, in just kind of the way the game is subtly tutorializing you.
And can I say, when it says that there are three-way battles, it means it, because there's like 1 or 2 fights in here where you'll see 3 types of creatures or whatever, and I was like, oh, a 4-way battle where I can like take out the different groups. No, it is a 3-way battle. Even though there are like multiple types of creatures, there are only 2 sides. So in one of the fights, I was like, well, I'll take out the pulsework soldier first, and then I had to fight like 7 or 8 creatures at the same time, and I was like, oh no.
This is a really cool mechanic that, like, it might just sound like a gimmick. Like, it's like, oh, now you have dual Pokemon battles, which like changes things a little bit, but not really too much that really matters, in my opinion. But with this, it's literally like, no, this isn't just a fun little new thing. This is like, you need to pay attention with which side. Like, you've already fought these enemies, and you fought them by themselves. You know that the Pulsework soldier is really hard to take down, so maybe you should clear out some of the things that is fighting while it's distracted, and figure out when you want to attack and take him out, because like Curtis said, if you take him out and you're just like, cool, then they all come after you. Like, I've gotten
let me ask you, like, how did you usually go about these fights?
I would usually try and just like figure out which one I had the most trouble with in a previous battle, and then prioritize.
That's
around
actually
that.
what it says, I think, too, is like a good way is like take out the one that you would have most trouble with, because or else you're gonna be stuck fighting it alone.
So I took out the soldier.
I think they do
first.
say that, yeah.
Yeah, I took out the soldier first because I figured that was the longest amount of time that it would take to beat an enemy, and then I would take out the stragglers and be like, okay, no problem, that's easy.
So I would always go for like the pulse work guys, because they take a little while to whittle down, because I've gotten used to fighting the SciComm robots no problem, so I would I would use them to help me out, like get the pulse works like stagger bar up a little faster, because everyone's waiting on it.
Yeah, I would try and just do as much damage as I could to the pulse work soldier without necessarily taking him down, depending on how many, allies he had in the fight. And wanted to make sure that there was I could maximize the amount of time that I had 2 enemies fighting each other before they turned on me.
Yeah,
which like I learned the hard way in one fight, when I was like, oh, I'm gonna focus on this guy, and then I was like, oh fuck, now I'm like really not ready for what comes next. But I'm a very learn by doing type of person, and the best way to learn by doing is by getting your ass kicked and failing, and being like, oh, okay, now I will never make that mistake again. Or if I do, I will not feel like it was unfair, and I'll be like, that was my fault.
Yeah.
We also get a few like instances of Sazh like mostly like turning on something to advance forward, right?
Yeah, this area is kind of neat. Like, it seems like there are leftover corridors from buildings that are like strewn about,
like access corridors or tubes and maybe ship wells or like things from spaceships or whatever, like access corridors that need to be. We need to turn some machina on to open up a door or something like that.
Yeah. Waka would be fucking losing his mind right now. He would be so unhappy.
There's the first one. I think we turned. Is the first one we?
I think we do a propeller first.
Oh no, we get it's like a weird grapple thing that pulls
like
the
little
a tube towards you.
Thing, yeah.
Because he's like, after we see our first 3-way battle, he turns on this like little rig, like, I've never seen one of these rigs before, and it like shoots out little like energy grapple and pulls like this piece of like engine towards us so we can move forward. And he's like, Sazh like, whoa. I knew that would happen.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah, and then as we go on, we see another one of those. There's like
a giant turbine that's like with a bunch of shit stuck in it, and he turns on it, kind of just flings like the debris out of the way.
Yeah. And he's really real startled by it. It's really good. But yeah,
and a piece of cake.
I got really startled by that too. I thought they were gonna get like sucked through.
Dude, I was like, oh my god, good thing it stopped, right?
It's a fucking like Final Destination or Saw or some shit.
Yeah.
But at the end of that pathway, we eventually come up upon Hope. So like, this is the other direction that you could get to this area from.
Yeah. So like, we took a detour, and that was it all ends up in the same location. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hope's moping. Hoping.
Hope's moping. Mope's open.
We should just start calling him Mope.
But Vanille sees Hope and is like, "Oh, we made it!" And Sazh says, "Where's Grumpy?"
Very good.
And he just kind of like looks up the little cliff, and Saz's like, he got left behind, huh? And he tries to like put his hand on his shoulder, and Hope like fucking smacks him away and stands up and he goes, "Leave me alone. This is pointless. I can't keep up. You can't go home. It's over for me." And he's like very defeatist about it. And Vanille's trying to help out. She's like, "It's not over. We're gonna get you home." And he's like, "Well, I don't even have a home. Like, Mom's gone, right?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, what about your dad?" And that sends us into another flashback. How many is that this episode? 3 or 4?
I think 3, I guess.
This is where we learn the Ject shot, because
you can't do it, kid.
Can't do it, kid.
But we see that
Day 11, the seaside city of Bobbin.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess we already knew that everybody was at Bobbin, but it is funny to me every time we go back and be like, "Oh yeah, the goddamn fireworks." Yeah, everybody was watching.
I really like this. Again, it's just kind of cool, like seeing it from different perspectives at different points. Like I really like that. We get to see Britney Spears' mom again. May she rest in peace.
R.I.P. to a real one.
She went down swinging like a fucking badass because she's tough.
Once again, we're seeing the vestige behind everyone. It's cool. It's weird seeing it now, just there looming.
Yeah.
It's just standing there menacingly. But she's making a wish.
Not making a wish, Hope?
Mom, you still believe in that kind of stuff? Wishing on fireworks? Really? That's for little kids.
Who are you calling kid?
You?
Yeah, it's very cute.
And Hope asks, like, "What did you wish for?" And she says, "Next year your father could come with us."
And he like, that puts him in a bad mood immediately. He's like, "Why? It's better like this."
A bad mood that he does not recover from for the rest of the game.
He's like, "It's better like this. We don't need him." And she's like visibly like upset.
Yeah.
Right about it. But
I'm guessing that like he's just an absent father, maybe busy with business. That's from what I've gathered from this.
Busy doing work.
Always busy with business.
Because it doesn't seem like they're split up or anything like that. It just seems like
he's just she wouldn't like say that, I guess, if they were not together.
Unless she was down bad.
Perhaps she may be down bad. But yeah, then we kind of get a voiceover from like the current day about how that was the day that they found the Pulse Fal'Cie, and the next day the soldiers sealed off the town, and we couldn't get back to Hope's hometown, Palom Polum.
Palom and characters from FF4.
Yeah,
what?
Palom and Polum.
Incredible.
They all turned to stone.
I really.
Which the data log for Palom Polum, I think this is where we get it, and it says like what Palom Polum is. That's the data log where it's like, oh, they have actual shops in Palom Polum. That's nuts.
Oh, that's really cool. That's
like everybody else in the world.
Sounds pretty fancy.
Yeah. You can go and buy some gold needles.
Hope's hometown, Palom Polum, is one of the biggest cities in Cocoon. Retail stores line the streets, a rarity in society where online purchases are the norm. With the goal of promoting their hands-on approach to commerce as a tourist attraction, the local government actively encourages business to set up shop in Palom Polum.
I do like I feel like that's like America goals kind of in a way where it's like, what if we could make the most touristy thing in the world just buying shit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's literally mall culture. Malls kind of sprung up around that, and then it became not really the method that people purchase things anymore, which is why we see so many dying malls.
Yeah.
Bringing back the brick and mortar at Palom Polum.
That's a Rick and Morty.
But yeah, Rick and Morty.
So back to present day. I think a lot of these voiceovers are kind of like imply that maybe they're saying it out loud to whoever they're like.
Yeah.
Not just a flashback that's kind of separate from the story, but it's actually like him recounting the events aloud.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I assumed.
Every game has its way of characters explaining to other characters what's happened, whether it be in just normal text, whether it be in flashbacks, or the greatest way of all in Super Mario RPG, where he just pantomimes what has happened.
So he turns into Bowser, starts crying
he turns
and
into
stuff.
Bowser. Yeah, starts crying and stuff.
It's like Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah. He does like the Courage the Cowardly Dog thing.
Oh my god, I love Courage so much. Hope is kind of the Courage the Cowardly Dog of this one. Sazh is always saying, "Stupid Hope, you made me look bad."
I've never played Lightning Returns, and I understand that there is more character development for Hope in a way that might ruin what I'm getting ready to say. So don't come at me on Twitter or wherever. Don't at me about this. I don't know what it is yet. But
go to twitter.com/twirlandcurtis.
Yeah, Hope has like become one of my favorite characters in this game. Like, I really like him because I think he starts at like he starts the lowest out of any of the characters. You know what I mean? Like, he's always like, oh, it's all over for us. I can't do it. Oh, everything sucks. I'm just angry all the time. And he seems like so frustrating or whatever. So I think that like every bit of like personal growth he gets is just like a yes like moment every time I see it. I'm like, yeah, let's go, Hope. You kick ass.
Now, the way that you put that just makes me think of like how I've only read the first Dune book, and I'm like, Paul's pretty cool. I like Muad'Dib. And then like talking to other people, and they're like, oh yeah, the way his character gets.
Yeah, and my understanding is that like Lightning Returns is a little that way, but like I don't know. I don't know though. I don't understand.
Who knows? Doesn't matter. But yeah, he kind of is just talking. He's like, oh, you know, they forced us all onto the train with everyone, and like Mom, she was like very frantic, and like she wanted to get us home, so she tried to fight. And
as he's saying this, you can kind of see like Sazh kind of moping, like thinking into himself while he's talking about this as well.
Yeah, and Vanille is kind of walking up to him and you know, like interacting more with Hope, and he says she got tricked by Snow.
Oh, and he like stands up too when he says that. He's like mad.
He used her. Yeah, and Vanille just says, let's get you home, okay? Your dad's got to be worried.
Yeah.
And he's like, let him worry. Why should I care? He doesn't. And then Sazh says something.
He says very quietly, kind of to himself, but loud enough that everybody can hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, he says any father cares, which is interesting. Vanille is kind of like Sazh, and he's like, it's nothing. Like, forget it. And he kind of just starts walking off and
goes futzing with more Machina.
Yeah,
he's futzing with Machina. He uses one of those little magnet things to pull like garbage in such a way that it makes like a staircase going up the cliff.
The thing that pulls out almost looks like some sort of mining drill, but it has a kind of a ramp shape to it, so they're able to use it as a stairway.
Right.
Yeah. And like while that's all happening, Vanille's like, oh, come with me. And she like grabs Hope, you know, trying to, I think like what I get from this is that Vanille is like not being pushy about being like, I think you're looking at the Snow stuff the wrong way. Like, she doesn't want to say that because he's still experiencing grief and trauma from it all, but she's like, dude, Snow didn't trick your mom. Your mom was doing what she thought she had to do, and like it was her choice. Snow wasn't just like, here's a gun, you have to fight. Like Snow even said like, are you sure? Like, he was like second guessing it, but Snow didn't want to be like, no, you can't do this with us, like you're not allowed.
Yeah, I can be angry at the military complex and the people who enlist.
Yeah.
I don't say they were tricked by the military complex.
Yeah, good point.
Even though they do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
Putting up shop in malls and whatnot.
And esport events and shit.
But yeah, they bring Hope along with them, you know, say like, we'll get you back home. Your dad will be happy to see you.
Yeah.
And away we go. We do some hopping up the Machina.
The aggro crag.
Aggro crag. There's a lot of, I love the little interstitial dialogue where like Vanille's just like constantly like cheering on Sazh, like, good job, that was great.
Yeah.
Like anytime he uses technology.
There's a line whenever they're in a battle together and you're like kicking butt, Vanille will go, let's go, Sazh. I like really like that.
Or way to go, Sazh.
Yeah, way to go, Sazh.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good battle things. I don't think I've like talked about them specifically, but like I think Snow earlier was like, we gotta win this stuff. And it's like anytime you get into a battle, you just hear that stuff, and it's so good.
Or every time you change like a paradigm, like whoever's the leader has like a little quip, like sounds like it's like follow the old man's league, or like
follow the old man's league, you go girl.
Or like
that's my favorite one is when he said when it's just like Sazh and Vanille, and he goes, you go girl. Like, yes.
Or he says something like zigzag and dodge or something like that, like when you're
Bobbin and Weavin.
Bobbin and Weavin.
Bobbin and Weavin. Yeah, love it. It's so good.
It's cool.
Dude, Sazh is the best character. I love him so much.
Good. I love him so much.
And I love that like we just got the tiniest little taste of what his deal is just now, where he's like, any father cares. Yeah,
it kind of puts into perspective like what I was talking about earlier, just thinking about when he said dodge, you know, I was like,
Dodge. What's the deal with that?
Bobbin and Weavin, zigzagging and dodging.
But yeah, so we continue our trek through
the garbage. We can get a hope weapon here. I don't know if I'll be able to pronounce it. The Neen something or other.
Oh,
the Nintendo.
Yeah.
He gets his Nintendo finally.
The Nirta?
Yeah, something like that. But
is this thing you can buy?
Yes. I immediately went to that like arms shop, Up in Arms, that we got.
Up in Arms, everybody dies.
Yeah. And I was looking through it and I noticed that we could have bought it if we had enough gil, which we did not. And I was like, oh, well, I probably wouldn't have bought it anyway. We'll probably find it. And then found it here. And I'm like, fuck, dude. Like,
we don't have enough money for anything in this game.
No, just like real life, man.
Yeah.
Ninurta.
Ninurta.
Designed with balance and performance in mind, this boomerang deliberately avoids extreme characteristics of competitor models. Okay.
I do love that the descriptions are like they're tools or like they sound like something that you would buy from like Dick's Sporting Goods or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
like
yeah.
I like the way that this world is structured in that way, that the shops are like actual shops with, you know, advertisement paper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like ad reads.
I think the way that this ends up working in like a mechanical sense is that it lowers your strength, but it also adds a passive ability of physical wall 5 to hope. So whatever that means.
Well,
Ninurta.
I think in this episode, maybe next episode, we'll talk about the equipment skills because a tutorial pops up for them.
Yeah. But yeah, we kind of just make our way through and fight more of these, pulse work soldiers.
We got some cool paradigms like Tri-Disaster.
Yeah, Tri-Disaster is really
so
cool.
Good.
Everyone's just raining magic down on your enemies.
Triple Ravagers, baby.
Yeah,
so
real good. Real
I forget
cool.
the other paradigms that we have right now.
I mean, you can at this point you can almost make any of them except
you can make like new ones as well that just don't come default, which is pretty cool.
It's just cool that we have a bunch that are every time our party changes, we have like maybe 3 or even 4 different like.
Yeah, we got Tri-Disaster, we got Superiority, which is Synergist, Saboteur, and Synergist, which is a weird one.
So like they're basically just like supporting Sazh, I think, in that, right?
Yeah, as well as Sazh.
I mean, they'll do everybody. Like what'll happen is if you choose auto battle on a synergist, I think it starts with the topmost character or whatever, your leader character, and then they'll work their way down the little or I guess not auto battle. I guess if you have party members doing it or whatever,
yeah, if there's
they'll
a party
go
member
through
who has the role, they will they'll either just make you like the leader, give the buff or something, and then they'll also provide that buff to the other characters throughout if you stay in that paradigm long enough.
They're also kind of dumb though, in a little bit, in the way that like if you're a commando and you like don't have ruin, right, or whatever, like say you're Sazh, right?
Oh, yeah.
They'll be like, oh, we need to cast faith on him, and you'll be like, no, that does nothing, and they'll like do it first and be like, that's definitely the most important thing.
Yeah, but yeah.
But we find a new enemy type here as well, the Incubus.
Yeah,
hell yeah, dude.
And I think these are called in the speedrun community birds. And I know that people fucking hate them because they run fast.
They're also kind of annoyingly. They sounded very annoying, but they their design's cool. They do look like dancers at like some sort of like Japanese festival or whatever. Because they look like humanoids wearing a bird costume for like a festival.
They look exactly like the people in the parade in Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, doing the thriller dance.
Dances. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thriller dance. Yeah.
I think before we even see our first incubus, we also see a succubus later. But
yeah, definitely.
We come up on a large ship.
The incubus is like right before it. The first one. It's like right there, same place. Yeah. But yeah, we come up on a large ship, like you're saying. It's like stuck in the ground, and like its bow or its stern or whatever is like poking up out of the earth.
Sank, or it's just dumped here.
Yeah.
But Vanille, comments on it.
Isn't that
a warship from Pulse?
You mean they made it this far?
Of course not. Not during the war, and not since. They might have tried, but none of their forces made it into Cocoon. They only damaged the outer rim. Then the Sanctum's fal'Cie pushed them back. What'd you, sleep through history?
More or less.
More or less.
More or less. Interesting.
Yeah.
I assume.
So what's a ship from Pulse doing here? And then Hope says once the war was over, people couldn't live near the rim anymore in places like Hanging Edge. So
where's the rim of a sphere, you think?
Like the
Well,
crust?
I'm guessing since they broke through that created
the
a
rim of the break, I guess.
Yeah, like the rim of the break, I would imagine.
I see.
If we actually saw, I think, vaguely what Cocoon looks like based on, I think, the necklace that that Snow has, right? It looks like a giant planet with kind of a bite taken out like an apple.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think what they mean, like the rim, they do mean like maybe the opening.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that
where
makes
the
sense.
outside meets the inside.
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, in places like Hanging Edge. So this Foul C, they gathered up the scrap metal from Pulse and used it for rebuilding here. And this is what was left, a bunch of garbage. Sazh says, who'da thunk?
Who'da thunk?
Who'da thunk?
Pulse, Foul C, and who knows what, mixed with all the trash. Mixed in with all the trash.
And
then Vanille kind of echoes, who'da thunk? Like kind of
she says it like to herself very sadly. Who'da thunk? It's awesome.
And you could have it all, my empire of dirt.
But yeah, so we continue carving our way through, and like not to like pass over the actual gameplay aspects, but I mean it is very much just like the different permutations of these battles.
It's a lot of battles. It's pretty difficult. I got quite a few game overs, and it was a lot of learn by doing.
Yeah, the Incubuses cast a lot of like fire attacks and shit, right?
The thing, they can do a lot of damage, but they have very little HP, so you kind of have to like maximize your going in on them. You can't really like take too long to set up.
Yeah.
But if you have like a quick like saboteur, stick them with something, or like get a synergist to stick you with something like that, it makes them go super fast.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But yeah, they can definitely overwhelm you because they'll show up in 2s and 3s. 3 with the succubus, yeah. Oh, and when you get hit with the succubus, when that is included, it does a move where it supercharges the other incubus, and then they will fuck your world up.
And I think she does a like dance to do that, right? I think the move is called something dance, which is very similar to in Dark Souls. The channelers will also do a goofy little Fortnite dance in order to buff everything around you so that like common enemies just destroy you.
The incubus are like the gaping dragon, and the succubus is like that channeler that you always forget about.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is another paradigm called thaumaturgy.
Yeah. I didn't know how to pronounce that, so I just skipped right over it.
I'm assuming that's probably like thaumaturgy.
Yeah, it sounds right to me.
FF14 heads.
Ravager, Medic, and Ravager.
Yeah, FF14 heads will appreciate that. That's what they changed the name of Black Mage to.
Oh, interesting. Okay, cool.
Thaumaturge.
Thaumaturge. That's a cool word.
Do we get Smart Bomb at this point? There's another.
I think that's the That's the next group that we have.
Okay.
I think if you actually do make a, I think because I'm watching his walkthrough, I think if you do, you can get it now if you make your own deck with the right configuration.
Right. I'm just wondering. I think the Smart Bomb might need a commando.
I think it's just Ravager, Saboteur, and Ravager.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
That's a good grouping too, because Saboteur also increases the chain bonus duration. Because like we've seen, like the problem with Ravager is like even if you have Tri-Disaster on, you can build that gauge real fast, but it empties so quickly that you just can't get it to stagger. And having a Saboteur will stick the gauge so you can keep increasing it to stagger. So that is a good group to have. But anyway, we eventually come up on Lightning.
Yeah, we reach the end of yet another hallway. We walk across a little bridge, I think, and then
she kind of gets the drop on us.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, we hit the location that we've been walking to on the mini map, and we kind of just see our party walking from like a vantage high above us, and then Lightning just kind of jumps on down.
Once again, Sazh and Vanille are very happy, like, but it's just funny. Like Hope and Lightning were just like super. I don't know, just taking the wind out of their sails immediately.
Yeah.
This is real
Home Alone. Hey, welcome back. You missed us?
Real Home Alone energy where, Catherine O'Hare is like, I have to get home by any means necessary. And she has to go and like travel with John Candy or whatever. And like do all the crazy selling her fake Rolex to the guy just to get home. And then she finally gets home and she's like, oh, I made it. Like, I love you, Kevin. And then like 5 minutes later, everyone else gets there and they're like, yeah, we just took the plane that we were going to. Like they got there at the same time. But Sazh is like, oh, welcome to the party. And Vanille's like, oh, you miss us? And and Lightning just, very dismissive of it all. And then Sazh just looks at Vanille and goes, oh, what a killer to smile. Love it.
And then
watch it, Sazh.
Then we get a party of Sazh, Lightning, and Vanille, where Sazh is the party leader. And this is a great setup. These are 3 really good characters.
Yeah, this is really cool, but it was also really jarring for me because when I was in control of Lightning, I was able to keep an eye on her HP a lot easier, and with my current build, she does not have a lot of HP, and she is going in like full force and getting fucking destroyed. So there were certain points where I just got like, I just had Lightning dead, and I'm like, oh my god, like, and again, that doesn't mean that you get a game over, because she's not
Sazh is party leader, yeah.
Sazh is the party leader, but I had to go through a significant amount of my Phoenix downs here because I was just like, god damn it, Lightning.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think this is where we would just one of the default paradigms is Smart Bomb, but we also get a Bully, which is Synergist, Commando, and Saboteur.
That's another good one. Yeah.
I like how we can kind of see where the Pulse Wave soldiers come from. There's like little storage units. Like
I do love that.
They just kind of open up and they just like walk on.
I'm guessing they
robotic.
kind of just clean shit up and service stuff, I guess, because there is technology like running around here. I'm not sure for what purpose, but
this shares a universe with Stray, and we're killing all those cute little robots.
Oh no! I do love like when we come up. I mean, we fight an incubus, but there's a really cool like stair design that like.
Oh yeah, I love this.
It looks like it's just like collapse.
It looks like a little wall or something.
It looks like it's a little collapse, like all the steps, but it telescopes up and then turns on its side, and then it kind of unfurls into each of the steps.
That's so cool.
It's such a cool little like tech design.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it would like you would have to have the technology really dialed in. And in a world where we have escalators that are just constantly breaking down, I don't think like, you know, this is some like Elon Musk shit that on its face, if you just look at it, you're like, oh, that might be a cool idea. Other than the Hyperloop, because that's just fucking dumb no matter what way you slice it. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then like when you see it in actual like practical use, you're like, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But here, it's very cool.
Yeah, I do see a lot of Instagram stories of people making like stairs that collapse from like the wall, and like that looks super unstable. And because there's like no guardrails and all the weight is just on the hinges.
Yeah.
But you know, this is Pulse Tech, so it's probably fine.
It's Pulse Tech. What do you expect? That's hell on earth.
They don't make them like they used to. That's the tagline when you get in like good old Pulse gear.
Yeah, but we continue on and we come to a little clearing, right?
They can only mean good news.
Coming to a clearing only means one thing in a fucking RPG.
Yeah. Is this the clearing that looks very similar to the one arena in Dirge of Cerberus?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I can see it.
It was like in Calm, where I'm like, wonder what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the dragonfly shows up.
You again.
Dun, 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 dun,
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
We walk up, there's a big trash pile at the end of this road.
It looks kind of like it has like a cockpit that reminded me a little bit of the ship that we just crashed.
Yeah. There's clearly something in the trash. And
it's probably nothing.
But
much like a 7 remake, the pile of what looks like just a bunch of cogs and metal turns out to be an enemy.
Yeah.
And if this was Final Fantasy VII Remake, I feel like this would be called The Sweeper.
I was going to say, this is just the Sweeper from Final Fantasy VII, and more notably Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah.
Because it looks very similar to that model.
Yeah, it's got like the giant trains, and I think instead of like, you know, saws and drills, it just has a few manipulators. That's what we know they're called now.
Right. But it's called the Dreadnought.
Yeah.
And Sazh is like, what's that? And Lightning says, a pulse armament. And he goes, that's bad for us, isn't it? And she goes, you have eyes, don't you? And we like get into the battle after that.
We do.
Yeah, so the Dreadnought. The Dreadnought is like an easy hard boss. Because
it's a guitar that has a larger, an acoustic guitar that has a larger body than your typical classical style. But
that's true.
He's like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's kind of tough.
This thing doesn't have multiple like attack points, right? You can't attack the
no, it just has the one.
No, I think it's just the one target.
Okay.
But what I do like about this boss is like obviously over the last 2 sections we've become more accustomed to using the Synergist and the Saboteur, right?
Yeah.
And so like, and I feel like the game probably wants you to use Saboteur on this boss. So like I was, you know, debuffing him. I was giving him the D Faith and D Brave. And this boss has a specific move that I think it's called like Steam Clean or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it stops attacking for a moment and like steam starts coming out of it, and it begins to remove whatever debuffs you put on it.
Yeah,
which is like bad in a
that
way, but it's cool because you get some time without attacks.
Yeah, I think it does it one at a time as well. Like, it won't just,
It
like, if you have both of the debuffs on it, it won't get rid of both of them. It's not like a full sweep. It's, you know, it's staggered.
It'll do them both in that move, but that move will go like one, and then several seconds later, the other. Yeah.
It really cleans its pores out.
Yeah.
Yeah, this battle was over pretty quickly for me, which was, again, empowering because I had enough failure on the way here to realize what I need to be prioritizing, and got decent enough with like a strategical starting paradigm and then switching, you know, when appropriate and stuff. So
it does have a couple moves that are pretty tough. It gets one here in a second that's really the motherfucker, but
so
it has like
for phase 2.
Yeah, it has a phase 2 move that like, oof.
Yeah, so for phase 2, we got a bit of a cutscene as well, where we just kind of, like, it was just the middle of the battle, and I was doing a shit ton of damage to it, and then it looked like my game froze, and there was just a bunch of numbers just, like, there, and I was like, what the fuck? And then we get a little cutscene of it, like, falling through, like, the floor.
We fall through the floor, right?
Yeah. So we injure this thing, the weight of it and the weight of us, like, causes the floor to buckle. And we fall, and it looks like, now that I'm like looking at the outside.
Oh no, it does like it does an attack. It has like a cannonball thing that it shoots at the floor.
That's right.
And we all fall through.
That's right. And now that I'm looking at the outside too, it looks like we are standing on like a giant container or something like that.
Yeah,
like the outside of a room.
Yeah, Sazh is like, oh, I thought we were goners. Like, is everyone okay? And then like, as they're all kind of like dusting themselves off from the fall, the dreadnought jumps down and is now level with us and coming up to us, and it looks really pissed. If a machine that looks like a giant chainsaw with legs can look pissed.
But that move that it did to break open the floor, it now has access to that as a normal move, and that will just game you over. Like that will fuck you up if it hits you.
But now it's using like flame strike or some shit at us now. A flame spreader.
Yeah. So it's got a flamethrower now.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of like moves that hit the entire party. And if you're trying to go fast and you're not keeping your HP maxed out, that fucking cannonball, dude, that's the end. You know what I mean? It does like 400 damage. Like it's a lot. So this time, luckily, I didn't die from it, but I've died from it every time I've played this game thus far. Like I was just like, God damn it.
Seems like this is one of the ones that probably involves skipping a cutscene in order to get back into battle. Again, not as bad as like Seymour Flux, but
right.
Yeah, and in phase 2 it has significantly more HP, so the battle definitely goes a lot longer.
Yeah, it's not terrible though. It's kind of like one of those things. Like if you do in fact keep your HP at like reasonable levels, there's really not a lot it can do to you. If you're not too concerned about the time or like what score you get, you could just set Vanille on medic and just go through it that way if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's always been my strategy is to kind of hold out until it staggers and then switch to Relentless Assault just to kind of.
Looks like I was able to get my stagger up to like 692% at one point.
Nice.
So yeah, this thing definitely is very tanky, but
yeah,
cool fight.
Pretty fun.
What does Vigilance do? Now that I think about it, the synergist move. According to the Final Fantasy fandom wiki, Vigilance. Wow. Vigilance is a synergist ability that applies the Vigilance status.
Nice. Also known as Endure.
Vigilance increases the chance of interrupting the opponent's action when attacking.
Oh,
increases resistance against interruption.
It boosts your poise, and it can help you break their poise, basically. So you can interrupt their attacks if they're in the middle of a swing. You have a higher chance of that. Or you are less likely to get staggered away from being able to complete one of your ATB refresh things.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That seems very useful if you're, trying to like prevent some, super attack from happening.
It's not so useful when I auto battle and then Sazh, or no, wait, not Sazh. When we're playing as like Vanille or Hope or somebody, and they always want to start with that instead of bravery or faith, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh yeah. How'd you guys do? I was able to get 5 stars on this one. The target time was 6 minutes and 35 seconds, and I did it in 3 minutes and 43.
I have my photo. Let me dig it out here.
Oh, I think I missed my stars.
What was your target time?
Mine was, let me see, 6 minutes and 35 seconds.
Oh, mine was 6:07. Interesting.
I'm glad you brought that up because we have Zwanzig's correction corner. He actually pointed this out on our Discord. He said target time is scaled by your stats versus the enemies, which is why you guys get different results depending on your leveling and equipment. So target times for Eidolons are always hilariously high, which is even funnier considering the strict Doom counter, which I'm guessing is because the calculation normally includes their HP, which Eidolons don't have. So maybe it takes the maximum number or something.
Okay.
And it's also when I was talking about using Libra on the Shiva sisters and said how like I didn't have all of the intel. He also told me about that, which is enemy intel mechanics are surprisingly involved, but basically they're mostly set order in which info is revealed, and there are different ways to get info points, including just fighting and defeating that type of enemy. Libra doesn't give enough points to reveal anything usually, though. Libra scopes always do, in addition to affecting all enemies in battle. So Libra scopes, consumable items, but are usually the way to go versus the technique, just because you get more data out of it and it uses on every enemy there. So it's not like other games where you just scan once and then you have all the information you need. It might be that you have to get hit with a certain attack to understand like what's going on if you're only using Libra. So that was really cool. And shout out to Zwanzig for
thank you, expert.
Always sharing his vast amount of knowledge on this game.
That's great. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the info points.
Very cool.
That's cool that it works. But I did mine in 2 minutes 29.
Nice.
And for spoils, we get the Omni Kit.
We get the Omni Kit, and we get Lenora's Garage.
Yeah, we do.
So Lenora's Garage, you go into your data log, or not your data log, but your their description. It says, scrap parts, you name them, we got them. Noob manuals not included. With bargains like these.
It says N00B.
That's so funny.
With bargains like these, shops IRL are no match for Lenora's. Well, wait, our shops are no match for Lenora's. Okay, I see what's going on. They're making a Lenora's joke.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But the Omni Kit.
The Omni Kit is a kit containing tools for weapon and accessory customization. So we finally can upgrade our weapons.
Yes.
Very exciting until I started upgrading my weapon and I was like, oh my god, this looks fucking terrible.
I don't mind it. I don't mind upgrading the weapon. I like the system.
It's very convoluted and it's very much like I feel like I'm wasting shit and not optimizing enough, and I'm worried that it'll like lock me out of shit late game.
Do we want to talk about it? Go ahead and talk about it now as like a last thing in the episode, or?
Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, we could also go more in depth with it next week since this one is running a little bit long. I feel like that's a whole topic that we'll probably take a little bit of talking about. But
sure, we'll do it next time.
Look forward to seeing what the enigmatic fluid can get us.
Oh, I can't wait to
practical sense, other than a lot of
I can't wait to come on all of my weapons. Can you imagine like a blacksmith, like when they create something, they'll like dip it in oil or whatever. It's like there's just like a big vat of cum.
Man, there's probably
dipping a sword into it.
There's probably so many Americans who say that shit like not ironically and.
What, dipping a sword into a vat of cum?
No, just I can't wait to cum on all my weapons.
No. I was like, I can't imagine that there's that many like cum blacksmiths out there, but like,
yeah, it's
I don't have my
America
finger on
was
the pulse.
built on the back of cum smiths.
Cum smiths.
Yeah, you gotta anodize it and cum.
Yeah.
But anyway, the medic role is now available. Lightning, the commando role is now available to Sazh.
Oh, you know what?
I remember seeing the medic role for Lightning, and I was like, that seems useless in my
opinion.
I'm sure it's not.
I was getting ready to say, I'm always surprised how good of a medic Lightning is, because her personality would make you think that like, oh, that's gonna be the last one that she gets.
It's also the kind of thing too where I mean, every role unlocks a new like Skyrim upgrade tree, so you at least get more HP and strength and magic and all of that, so it's always worth it for that. But what I didn't realize until you said it in this episode, Curtis, is that certain members of your party will have the same role but different moves and stuff, so it's like, that makes perfect sense. Lightning might have some really good moves in the medic thing that Hope or Vanille might not get right away or something. So I'm excited to see how it goes. And again, like, my brain is always just kind of stuck in like Final Fantasy tropes, which this game is definitely not doing, because I'm like, oh yeah, Lightning, she's going to be the physical attacker. I need to like try and invest in her strength and always use, you know, bravery on her or whatever. But it's like, no, there's going to be some situations where it makes more sense for her to be using magic attacks.
I think, you could be wrong about this, I think most of her Ravager skills are the strikes, I believe. So
I think
she
so
is kind
far
of physical
with what
right now.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know if y'all noticed this. She doesn't seem to do the backflip and then shoot people anymore when I play.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, Snow doesn't use his grenades anymore. She doesn't do her cool flip shoot.
I was thinking maybe she doesn't do it because she has Ruin now and it like interrupts the you know what I mean? Like maybe like because
I'm sure
she doesn't
there's
start
certain
a combo till Ruin's done.
There's probably certain moves like that that are early game only. I would imagine, because I mean, this game just kind of opens up and gets so wild with it. Even now, just like 4 chapters in, it's gotten so much drastically different with how the mechanics work. So that wouldn't surprise me at all.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, anyway, should we cut it there?
Yeah.
Is there any more text after we beat that guy?
There's a little bit. Like we see, you know, our party at the end of this battle. We talked about how Sazh has Commando now, right? Or did we not?
Well, I did, but we mostly focused on Lightning with Medic.
Right,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, yeah, but Sazh having Commando is very exciting for me, because my brain is always just like, ooh, physical attacks.
Sazh has a incredible blitz, just FYI. His blitz
I'm excited
is so
too,
good.
I went into the Crystarium and I saw his blitz, and I was like, that's going to be really dope. I'm excited to see that.
I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what it is right now, because it's great. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like Lightning does a move centered around herself, like a Zelda slash, right? And Sazh takes his guns, turns them both sideways, so one's over top of the other one, and then he starts on his left side and then continuously shoots them to his right side, right? And the idea is that like in that spray, everybody in like a cone in front of him is going to get hit, right? Which is like a really cool thing. But when we start fighting really big enemies, like large bosses, they're so big that just every one of the bullets hits the enemy. Or if they're like right in front of him, they'll just soak up all the damage. And he fires so many times because in a normal fight, when there's like a bunch of enemies and they're like somewhat far away, he shoots a ton just to make sure that every enemy gets hit once or twice, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of possible damage that goes out there, assuming that only a couple will hit and it'll still be worth it. But when you have a big enemy or an enemy's right in front of you, they just get hit like 30 times in a row. It's insane. And so like, if you can get them right in front of a boss that's staggered, you can just watch their HP go like, boo.
So what you're saying is Sazh has just unlocked Darkbeat from Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of Sazh, I noticed sometimes he has a rifle in like some attacks, and it's baffling.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if his guns like lock into each other and turn into a rifle, like how, you know, Lightning sometimes
like
has
how
a
real
rifle.
guns work.
But it just sometimes I know it's like, wait, where did that rifle come from? He just like whipped it out of like maybe he can like lock the 2 guns together, but
oh, that's so cool.
Because I'm not really paying attention to like what the characters are actually doing.
There's so much to pay attention to in battles that like most of the time I will not even see the animations until I'm going back and watching what I did, which even then I didn't notice the rifle.
You got too much accounting to do with all the
there's so much and a time limit to do it all in.
But after this boss fight, Sazh says
Pulse is crawling with things like that, isn't it?
Got me. Not even the Corps has access to intel on Pulse. Soldiers in the field fight blind.
God, I also love just the idea of like nobody knows what's on Pulse. Like Pulse is hell and everything, but not even the Guardian Corps actually knows what's down there.
Yeah, but Sazh says, yeah, I noticed that, but don't you need to know exactly what you're up against? Which is a very good question. Lightning just says target's a target. Sazh is just like, oh, you like to keep it simple, huh? She's just like, oh, I stick to my goal.
Oh yeah, and then Hope is like, oh, so if you have a goal, you can keep going, you know, like
yeah.
He's like a little inspired by that.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, and Lightning just says like she cuts him off and she's like, no, you can stay alive. Like
yeah.
She's not really like necessarily concerned with fighting. I get from that. It's more so like, no, I can stay alive. Like if I have a goal, I can stay alive. If I don't have a goal, what's the point of fighting?
Yeah, yeah.
Surviving. Just gotta make it in the big old world.
It's like in Shaun of the Dead when they're talking. It's like, oh, how are you doing? Surviving. And then they like run into each other at the end of the movie and have the exact same conversation, but it's completely different context. Oh, how are you doing? Surviving.
Very good.
Well, that is where we will leave it. And then I don't know how long the next episode is supposed to go as well. There's basically like the Hope Lightning chunk.
Their field trip.
And then the field trip between Sazh and Vanille. And they're both pretty long, but I think that maybe it's mostly gameplay. And so maybe if we could probably do both with just the cutscenes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think we really have to talk about mechanics too much.
We will with Lightning, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's a special something that happens on their field trip.
Yeah. Good God, yeah.
Yeah. And then Sazh and Vanille's one is mostly gameplay.
This game's full of games.
It's full of games. There's all these
Curtis said
games.
that this game didn't have any mini games, but
it turns out the whole game is just
when we get to the next part.
She gets her flat iron and we can go play Final Fantasy Golf.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, all right. Well, in that case, I would say that if you're playing along with us, I would go ahead and finish out Chapter 4. That's what I would assume. Like, go ahead and finish the Sazh.
Yeah, I think it feels like we're trying to, split up these chapters in half.
Yeah, trying to, yeah.
We're trying.
The game doesn't exactly give you good start and stop points. But you know what, though? I'm glad that we're out of the fucking hanging edge, finally.
Yep.
So it's been 2 months. It's been 2 months in that place.
I'm tired of this green.
Oh my gosh. And I get it. One area was called Lake Bresha. It doesn't matter. We're still in the hanging edge.
We're on the bottom of hanging edge. It's floating edge.
There is crystals at the bottom of the hanging edge.
It's also kind of interesting
Under the crystals,
that,
bunch of fucking bass.
we were underground for the first 3 chapters, and then our first chapter above ground, it's nighttime. So like we've been kind of in darkness the whole game.
Oh, we got a good look at the sun up close.
We did.
We did
true.
see a beautiful sky and something floating in the sky as well, which
I think we may have seen that in some of these cutscenes. Something looks like an amoeba glowing in the sky.
Yeah, it might have been the thing that we saw, which I think at this point you could know what it is by reading the data logs.
Actually, in the very, very next scene, the first scene we get to tomorrow, or not tomorrow, but next week, literally we'll have this.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
How about that?
All right.
It's Donald Duck.
Well, I've ordered some McDonald's and I'm excited to get it.
It's McDonald's Duck.
It's McDonald's Duck.
Lightning is running this McDonald's like a fucking army.
Alex, would you like to come in like a wrecking ball? Footnote, that attack that the Dreadnought does is called Wrecking Ball.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again to Masashi Hamauzu for the game music. Always good. I don't have any tidbits on it this episode.
Yeah, we're just going to make up a Hans Zimmer fact about how he's fucked up instead.
Hans Zimmer's like holding like an Akai keyboard in his hands and just saying, "I'm so fucked up."
Hans Zimmer famously said, "I can't wait to come on all my instruments."
Just fucking shout out to all the gumsmiths out there.
Yeah, rate, review. Yeah, leave us a rating or a review on iTunes or Spotify. Yeah, after you heard that, how could you not?
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to leave a review after Gumsmiths?
You can leave us a message at 530 Materia.
Leave us a message letting us know what the most enigmatic fluid you've ever drenched your weapon in is.
We're going to get a lot of discussion about Taco Bell, I bet.
Yeah, that's what the whetstone's wet with. You can find us at EveryFNFF on Twitter, Instagram, and join our Discord. And according to our Insta poll, nearly 90% of the Cocoon citizens agree with the handling of the podcast. 70% of the response say they would also support additional podcasts were the need to arise.
I heard it here first.
Bye.